your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. We have made it to Thursday. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass. And we have a lot of friends popping up on the show today. It will be a different version of the roundtable. It would be a piecemeal version of the roundtable that starts at 12. But before we get to roundtable, Jake Gadon of CBS joins us. And Jake Gadon, we are going to talk about what's going on, not only with the Kings, but also with Sac State. We've been meaning to get to it with the Doug Christie news and the NFL draft, everything that's been going on. We have been wanting to spend some time on Sac State. Mikey Williams, one of the best high school mixtapes you've ever seen. He kind of went a little bit wayward, had some issues with the law, went to UCF after that, and he recently has transferred to Sac State. Sac State also got a top QB recruit that we talked about as well, and they have Shaq in the building. What does that mean for Sac State as they are really making some waves to be an elite college in Northern California? So that is coming up with Jake at 11. Of course, we're talking NBA playoffs and bringing it all back to the Kings and what they can do to be a part of the conversation, right? You watch elite basketball and it's fun to watch, but you also want your team to be a part of it. And it's tough to continue to watch the team from the Bay, okay, the team from LA, even though they're done now, Minnesota, Houston, all these teams that a couple years ago you would have said, yeah, Sacramento's probably going to be in a better spot than them. I'd say so, right? And that's a kind of a tough way to look at it, but that's the reality. So why them and not us? And how do we get back there? Well, the first thing is to nail the head coach. And we can go back and forth on the process as we have. And by the way, we will get that press conference. I believe that it's tomorrow, 10 a.m. So that's how we'll kick off the show. We will be streaming it here on the home of the Sacramento Kings, the flagship. Kings GM, this is what he had to say on the hiring of Doug Christie as head coach. After careful consideration, I am excited to announce Doug Christie as the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings. I've known Doug a long time, and I've been impressed with his leadership, presence, and ability to connect deeply with his players. He embodies the core values we believe in: toughness, discipline, professionalism, a defensive mindset, and a selfless team-oriented approach on offense. Our goal is to support him fully and help set the stage for his long-term success. We're excited to move forward with Doug as our leader. Does that make anybody feel better? Do you feel better now? Will it be Scott Perry? Will there be 2 mics tomorrow? Will there be 3? Will there be 1? I don't know. But we all felt like we knew where this thing is headed. Again, Scott Perry saying the right things. There's nothing else you can really say. Some of the same things he said in his presser: toughness, discipline, professionalism. Defense wins championships. Some of the things that we've heard in the past, and that's exactly what Doug Christie is going to try to bring to the table. But he's not going to be able to do it alone. And we've cooked up a list coming up at 10:30. Current assistant coaches that are currently out of a job. Because you look around the league, there are some names that might make your ears perk up a bit. There aren't not a ton of former NBA head coaches that are going to be, number one, in general, currently coaching. Then on top of that, would be willing to leave their current jobs to go to Sacramento. So we keep saying we gotta surround Doug with these vet coaches. That might not mean former head coaches, because there's not really a ton of them right now. So we have that list for you. We have some guys that are recently out of the carousel and out of the league right now, but would you invite them back in? Some of the names you're going to say, Allen, I love it. Some of the names you're going to say, Allen, I don't know about this one. So that's coming up at 10:30. We have our playoff playback as well. And of course, everybody wants to talk about LeBron being eliminated and what that means for the Lakers, whether or not LeBron even wanted Luka. Charles Barkley last night said, LeBron doesn't play defense anymore, and Luka can't guard a chair, which I thought was hilarious. Luka can't even guard a chair. So what do the Lakers do? And we talked about this yesterday, whether you kind of want them or not, or want this player or not. A lot of people are talking about what happens with Austin Reeves. Does that work? And even if it doesn't work right now, are you willing to trade Austin Reeves to make something work right now, even though we don't know what LeBron's going to do? Because that's what I'm doing if I'm the Lakers. I'm saying, hey, LeBron, we understand you got to do what you always do and say, hey, I got to figure out what's good for me and my family. That's all fine and good. We kind of need to know, though, because if you only have one more year, I'm not trading Austin Reeves. If you're saying you might play 2 or 3 more years and we're going to have a couple swipes at this, then let's have that conversation, because I don't know if this is going to work the way that we've been trying to get it to work. So that is the big conversation right now with the Lakers. As far as the Warriors are concerned, could they do it again? All these years later, did you see enough from the Rockets to say, and that's what Dylan Brooks said, hey, this team blew a 3-1, and it was with this leadership, with Steph Curry, with Draymond Green, with Steve Kerr, and most importantly, without Kevin Durant. All these years later, would it make you feel good as Kings fans? I know you got a cousin or a buddy or a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad or a coworker that's a huge Warriors fan. They're everywhere. Yesterday, I'm at the River Cats game. They're watching the River Cats, Sacramento through and through, and I hear them behind me as I'm getting ready to do a promo, and they say, man, it was a bad day. Giants and the Warriors lost. That's out here in Sacramento, West Sacramento, technically. So we know they're all out here. Would it make you feel better? Is that what we have to hold on to right now, if you're a Sacramento Kings fan, that the Warriors could blow yet another 3-1 lead? I don't think it's going to happen, but you saw the Timberwolves take care of business, and now they're done. And Anthony Edwards, oh my goodness, the legend grows. He's walking through the streets of L.A., just taunting, just doing his thing. This is why all the kids want to be Anthony Edwards. This is what we call polarizing. This is what the NBA needed. Because at some point, he'll become a villain. You got to win to become a villain for the most part, unless you're just kind of a hack like Dylan Brooks. But you got to win if you want to be a star villain. Is he on that path right now? It's all in front of him. The NBA needs the Warriors to win, with that being said. Because Anthony Edwards versus Steph, that's box office. That's get your popcorn, extra butter. But could the Warriors actually blow this thing? Last night, I was one of two because I thought the Lakers would win, and they didn't. But the Rockets took care of business. Is this something we believe they can do again in the Bay? Let's not forget, you could argue they had the recipe, they had the ingredients to win in the Bay Area a couple nights ago. They didn't, but they had the ingredients. Could they tap into that? Could the shadows and the nightmares from 2016 climb back into the minds of the Warriors? When Steph Curry, hey, we're just going to sell out on Steph, and we know role players play better at home. I still don't think Brandon Pajemski's going for 26 again. I still don't think it's going to happen. And if it does happen, you tip your cap. Could the Rockets pull it off? I think basketball, the NBA needs the Warriors to win, like I said. But could this be a situation where the Rockets pull it off? A la some version of a Pistons team from the past. The role players, no star, if you will. Şengün's on his way, but no star. No bucket getter when you necessarily need them. Could they pull it off? It's been a crazy, crazy first round. One of the best first rounds I can remember. I'll easily say recent memory because I don't want to disrespect the past, but I could go, in my mind, I feel like a decade. Even the 3-1 games and the 3-1 series with the Bucks and Mr. Halliburton, I'm not going to call him a liar, but saying, oh, this is all I was saying in front of Giannis. That's just, the whole thing has just been ridiculous. And it's so funny, I did In Style, Out of Style on Monday, and it was mostly focused on the NFL draft. So much has happened that could be thrown back into in-style, out-of-style. Or what are we doing? And we are going to do what are we doing tomorrow. So we will hear from John Halliburton tomorrow on what are we doing. Great 4 hours coming up for you. Like I said, Chris Watkins, Brenden Nunes, Jake Gadon, an all-star cast. And, of course, your boy, Allen Stiles and Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass. 4 hours, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
The clock winding down, and the horn sounds here in LA, and the Timberwolves have defeated the Lakers 103-96. They close out the series in 5 games. And for the first time in franchise history, the Timberwolves have advanced to the second round of the NBA playoffs in back-to-back seasons.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
916-339-1140, call line and text line. 209 is getting us kicked off on the text line. They said, and I knew this was coming at some point, would love to have Dillon Brooks on the Kings. He brings the edge we need. You're not wrong, 209. He's 29 years old now. He's making $22 million. Next season, he'll be 30, obviously. He'll make 20. It's actually a descending contract. He'll make $21 million next season and 19 after that, which is interesting to think that he's making more than Malik Monk. Dillon Brooks is a kind of confusing player. He can get hot from three, but obviously that's not his bag. His bag is getting under the other team's skin and kind of doing things defensively. I honestly think that the way he gets under the skin might, at this point, kind of be better than his actual defense at times. I mean, I saw, who was it? DeMar DeRozan. I saw a couple players on the Kings kind of cook Dillon Brooks, you know, and like I said, he's not a bad player at all. He goes 6'6". Obviously, he can guard the wing for sure. He can shoot the three and guard the wing, and he makes about, like I said, around $20 million. I would do it. Here's a question, though. Again, we start moving these pieces, and you're still looking for your bucket getter. And we're not doing the De'Aaron Fox thing. He's long gone, and I don't know that Zach LaVine is we need a bucket, go get one. I didn't see that in the games that he played this past season. So, okay, I think Dillon Brooks makes more sense on this team than DeMar DeRozan, but now who's going to score the basketball consistently? I don't think I can count on Zach LaVine for that. I'm not saying we can't, but I haven't seen it. So I like Dillon Brooks. We're going to start moving these guys around and figure out how do we create a roster that makes sense, but at the end of the day, you have your catalyst and you have your guy that's there when you need him. And that's what we see with all these teams besides the Rockets, and that's why the Rockets won last night but are on the verge of going home. Great, you can get it done in the regular season, right? They're a young team, giving it their all. So I like Dillon Brooks. It's just a matter of everybody wants to get rid of DeMar DeRozan, but you still need a number one scoring option. And unless you're tanking, right? Or unless you are on the come up like the Rockets, what the Kings are trying to do, you can't do it without a number one scoring option. Could you make the argument you keep DeRozan? And not that this would happen, but you get rid of Zach LaVine and you add Dillon Brooks. Now, I still don't think you have enough scoring. So I really like Dillon Brooks, but Scott Perry's got his work cut out for him. You know, like I've always talked about, you're on the boat and there's multiple holes on the boat that you're trying to plug, right? And DeMar DeRozan, our defense is better now. Now our offense is kind of struggling. Okay, now we're going to fix our offense. Oh, wait, now we're sinking because we need a point guard. Okay, we fixed the point guard. Oh, wait, now our defense is bad again. So that's going to be the balancing act for Scott Perry and working at least at some point or somewhat alongside with Scott Perry to get it done. But I do like Dillon Brooks, and I do think the Kings could use him. You know, we're just getting to a point now, and the 209 didn't bring up DeMar DeRozan per se, but that's just the name everybody's throwing out. Just move off of DeMar DeRozan. Somebody's got to score the basketball. And we got to figure out who that somebody is going to be. As we get to a little bit of the playoff playback, the Lakers are done. The Lakers are done. And Kyle Ledbetter, I will let you turn your mic on, get it hot, because I don't know if I had Lakers in 6, but it doesn't matter because I didn't have I don't know if you had Timberwolves in 5, but you had Timberwolves.
I told you exactly what was going to happen, and lo and behold, it happened. The Minnesota Timberwolves, have beat the Lakers. I tried to warn all of you about just how good this Timberwolves team was, the leap that Anthony Edwards is about to make, and the fact that it took them like 50 games to figure it out, how to play together, but that Karl Anthony Towns trade looking a lot better than it did before. The Minnesota Timberwolves actually make a lot of sense. And by the way, I think I feel just as good as I did at the start of the playoffs. They're going to beat the Golden State Warriors in the next round, and they are going to get to the Western Conference Finals like I told you all was going to happen at the beginning of the playoffs.
They got shooting. They got defense. They got a star. And they have the supplementary players. The Naz Reid thing is honestly what takes it over the top. And I know Jaden McDaniels has been that dude in this series because he's turning into a legit two-way threat. The whole thing was, okay, he can hit threes sometimes. Now he's legitimately, you got to respect him as a scorer. He's not completely there yet, but you can't just leave him. And if you leave him, he's going to burn you. So you have that going for you. Then you throw in a Naz Reid, who, again, is just randomly running around at 7 feet, shoots threes like a free throw, and they go in, and he can boogie on you as well. It's a problem. And two teams right now, one team, the vision wasn't seen because of the injuries. But the other team, we understand what they were trying to do, and it seems like it's coming together at the right time. Is anybody going to pick them over the Thunder? No. But I do think a lot of people will pick them over the Warriors just based on how this thing goes. The Warriors got to win tomorrow night. I'll tell you that much right now. And I think they will because, again, the Rockets, to me, what happened last night was more so we got some home cooking. The Warriors are old. Dillon Brooks, by the way, the audio is not great, but Steve Kerr is basically talking about the way Steve Kerr's talking about it, and Kyle's great at his job, so he found better audio than what I found. The way Steve Kerr is talking about it, he's not calling out Dillon Brooks per se. He's saying that in general, teams and players are overdoing the hand slapping because it's legal. So he's not necessarily, from what I heard, saying that Dillon Brooks he's pulling out his thumb, but what he's saying is, I'm sure the league will take a look at this because how these guys are purposely high-fiving these dudes, okay, obviously it's Steph Curry, somebody's going to have to take a look at that. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night in the Bay. I think the Warriors will get it done, but they're going now. If it'll be that would be Warriors in 6 with a Rockets team with no star. Right, great defense, and I would say better defense than the Timberwolves.
A team that won 50 games this year.
Yeah, but clearly no star. Clearly just some young thoroughbreds that were ready to go during the regular season and got hot towards the end of the season as all these other 5 teams were kind of stuck together. Now you got to go up against a Timberwolves team who's playing their best basketball. That's the one thing about playing bad teams towards the end of the season. They had the winning streak prior to that, so they've been red hot for about 2 months now, maybe even 3. So they've been hot. They played some bad teams. They're rocking and rolling, and you're not going to be able to sell out and do – it ain't going to be Şengün taking the last shot, okay? Şengün on the Timberwolves, if they were in that same situation, he's not option 1. He's probably option 4 to take the last shot on that team.
Probably option 5, because I would rather White Dante take the shot
there
than
you go.
Şengün.
We saw him do it at Villanova. Let's hear from Steve Kerr on the hand swiping. And fair or foul, I know it's the Warriors, so are they just complaining? And is this Kobe? Is this Mamba mentality? Or, hey, this is a brotherhood, and that's Bush League? You be the judge. Here it is.
The NBA is, once the shot has been released, you're allowed to hit the guy's arm. And so what's happened in the league this year is players always they're going to outsmart, the rules. They know what they're doing. So players all over the league are just taking shots at guys' shooting hands after release because they know it's not going to be a foul. And I'm very confident that next year the league will fix it because it's only a matter of time before somebody, breaks a thumb or breaks a hand or whatever. But these are the rules. I do believe they're allowed to call a flagrant if they want. The refs could call a flagrant if the guy winds up and takes a shot. But no, it's been happening across the league all year long. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But we have to take it through the league process to get that changed, and that'll probably happen this summer, I would guess. No, I don't think it's impacting him. It's just, again, it's players are going to do whatever they're allowed to do. And so after every release, Steph's getting hit. But it's basically within the rules. So
there you have it. That is a veteran coach standing up for his guy in a very politically correct way. And Dylan Brooks was kind of asked about it, and he said something to the effect of, if I had an ankle, people would be doing the same thing. Obviously, it's a little bit different. I mean, you can't really swipe at an ankle. You know what you're doing, Dylan Brooks. And, a lot of people would say, hey, that's all part of the game. Are we sure Draymond wouldn't do the same thing? Dylan Brooks is kind of obvious with it, I will say. It's at least try to hide it a little bit, and maybe it's tough because of all the video. But I'm a bit torn with the Mamba mentality side of it versus the, all right, man, just defend him straight up. You know what I mean? You're trying to injure him. You should just want to beat the man. You want to be the best. You got to beat the best. Don't try to get him out the game. I don't know. I think that I don't know if this is old school versus new school, and I'm right in the middle as a millennial, but yeah, I just think just defend him. Just defend him. Why do you want him out the game? Is that a version of good defense, or are you admitting we can't beat them at full strength? Because the opposite, the other side of Mamba mentality would be, I want to beat you at your best, not I want to injure you and hinder you so we win because Steph Curry's not playing. Or is it Gladiator 3, win by any means necessary? I'm torn on this one.
I mean, you know what direction Dylan Brooks is going to go, right? Because he's true to character. I would say this is professional sports, and if you're out there, you're out there. I mean, football, we hear this all the time, where it's like a guy's got a broken ankle and he's playing through it, and so guys will dare him to try and cut on it. It's
the brotherhood thing that, I'm surprised you have that take, Kyle. I can't lie. I thought you would be definitely in the camp of shouldn't be doing it. So, good for you.
In the hyper-competitive world of professional sports where millions of dollars are on the line, I'm not surprised when people are trying to get every competitive advantage.
But you're okay with it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at Kyle. Kyle's got a little OG in him. Kyle's got a little get off my lawn in him. I love to hear it. When we return, talking about vets, Doug Christie needs some veteran coaches around him. How is he going to get that done? We have created a list of all the former NBA head coaches that are currently assistant coaches and some that have been around, maybe not head coaches yet. Who do you want to help Doug Christie? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter right to your email. Get your latest on the Sacramento Kings, athletics, and Republic FC with the Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter. Visit SacktownSports.com to join.
It's Carmichael Dave talking to you about my good friends at American Energy. You're in the Sacramento area. You know how the seasons work. They are a-changing right now. So American Energy wants to help you stay warm for the rest of the cold season, but help you stay cool during the warm season. Best way to do that, make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of half off a tune-up, $24.50. They cut that right in half, and if you want a diagnostic, guess what? You can't beat free. If it's free, it's me, and now it can be you. And also, it's the end of the season blowout. $4,000 off a new system plus any rebates. That $4,000, that's a direct drop from the sticker price. It's a great deal. Check them out at theaeway.com or an instant quote, or give them a call at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now. Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
We are creating a list, or the list, I should say, is created. And this list has former head coaches. It has coaches that have not been head coaches yet, but have been around for a little bit or have notable names. And coaches that are just chilling right now, maybe coaching high school basketball. So here is the list. As a lot of people have been talking about, Doug Christie's going to need help. Doug Christie is going to need other vets. So what I did was I went to the National Basketball Coaches Association. I went to their list to find and to just look through everybody available, or excuse me, everybody that's a assistant coach right now and may or may not be available based on where they are and what they are currently doing. Obviously, the level of assistant coach matters. Where you sit on the bench matters as well. So all of that is kind of a part of it. So let's kick this thing off with a name that we are very familiar with and a name that was very successful out here not necessarily in Sacramento proper, but in Stockton with Lindsey Harding. Lindsey Harding as an assistant coach from Doug, and what we are essentially breaking down is whether or not you'd want them, whether or not they would make their way out, right, and want to leave their current situation. So Lindsey Harding, great opportunity for her, being an assistant coach on the Lakers. JJ Redick, by the way, crazy JJ Redick sound. JJ Redick he's nuts, man. He's nuts, going off on reporters, holding an L, doubling down on things. It was very obvious. It was a bad look for the never had coaching experience, but I have a podcast people. Bad look. And we're going to get to your calls as well on who you'd want to help the coaching staff or help Doug Christie. Lindsey Harding, I think I am in. I should say I know I'm in to bring her back. She's familiar with the players. She was in LA. And look, man, they ended up with the fourth highest odds to win the championship after they traded for Luka. But a lot of stuff goes into that. Lindsey Harding, she essentially was viewed as somebody that could help a young head coach, which is why the Lakers brought her on for JJ Redick. So I'm in on Lindsey Harding. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. If I'm Lindsey Harding, am I leaving LA to go back to Sacramento? I mean, and we're doing the conversation in a way where it's some level of a promotion, right? Whatever seat she has there, let's say that she has a better one in Sacramento. I don't know that I'm leaving, Kyle. If I'm Lindsey Harding, I don't know if I'm leaving LA to go back to Sacramento, even if it's for a small promotion.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how large of a promotion we're talking about. Like if it's hey, we're getting the band back together kind of thing, then maybe, but
I'm definitely not leaving for the same role in LA.
Certainly no. And if I'm looking up the Lakers coaching staff, it looks like she's, I want to say fourth or fifth on the bench. They list Nate McMillan, Scott Brooks, Bob Bayard, Greg St. Jean, and then Lindsey. So
right, and that you're on the NBA, the coaching website.
This is just from the Lakers press release at the start of the season.
Yeah. So, and thanks for kind of doing that homework there. Yeah. I mean, and here's the other thing. I don't think that Lindsey probably should be the second chair. So if you're going from fifth to fourth and you're leaving LA to go to Sacramento, I think I would take Lindsey in a heartbeat. If I'm Lindsey, that's not a big enough promotion for me.
And here's the other thing that complicates it just a little bit is like, Lindsey was a Mike Brown hire.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know what kind of connection she has to Doug Christie or the coaching staff in the long run.
Next on the list, Bobby Jackson with the 76ers. Now, obviously, Bobby Jackson and Doug Christie go way back, and that is something that they can both lean on. If I'm Bobby Jackson, starting to get a little bit of buzz. He doesn't pop up on next head coaching lists like Sam Cassell and others. So, maybe he is a step behind. Kyle, I see you digging there. Do we have kind of where he's at right now with the Sixers?
I think, if I remember correctly, because he left Stockton to go to the Sixers, I want to say he was the fourth or fifth person on the bench, but there was also reports that like, hey, they're not going to move on from Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey, but maybe they're going to shake up the coaching staff a bit in Philadelphia. I don't know if that helps Bobby Jackson, if that hurts Bobby Jackson, but yeah, it looks like Bobby is, I think, the third guy on the bench or fourth, either third or fourth.
And again, that's pretty good for Bobby Jackson coming from Stockton. I don't know that with a young head coach like Doug or someone early in their career like Doug, I don't know that Bobby can be second chair. Well, not for Doug.
What if we said defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the Luke Laux role from last season or the role that they kind of occupied before. I don't know if that, does the trick or not, but it's where Bobby wants to be. He's talked about loving Sacramento and wanting to come back to Sacramento at some point. So I don't know if that's close enough, but in a weird way, I know everyone's going to make the Bobby Jackson connection because all the former Kings just get added to the coaching staff and front office in Sacramento. But Bobby actually makes sense if you're following kind of the progression of his coaching career, if you feel like he's ready 4 years into coaching to make that leap to a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think that both of them are a little young in their career for the Doug Christie situation. Next up, this guy, head coach. He has his hands in his pocket somewhere, but look, he has had a level of success. Darvin Ham of the Bucks. Now, with Doc missed some games. And Darvin Ham took over. I think I'm out on Darvin Ham, but he is a former NBA head coach.
Yes, and has been a lead assistant for many, many years. He would be real. I mean, we'll talk about other names.
He's got bad Can we just say he's got bad PR? This is the squirrels versus the rats thing. Squirrels are just rats with bushy tails.
I mean, he made a conference finals.
Yeah, he's got bad PR, and that's why my first thought is no, because he gets memed so much. But Darvin Ham is a great basketball mind. Let's not get it twisted.
Very good. I would say no one was talking. Remember, no one was talking about Darvin Ham as a head coach until he took over the Lakers, which people don't remember. That was after the Westbrook season.
Yeah.
So, the Lakers' job was a disaster when he took it, and he kind of took the fall as they rebuilt that thing kind of from the ground up.
Next name, I know everybody is probably going to be a yes on this. There have been some articles written as well. Dave Yeager on the Bucks as well. So they have Darvin Ham and Dave Yeager. I think we're all, I shouldn't generalize and say we're all, but I think most of us would be in on bringing Dave Yeager. And that's somebody that I think is a great fit for what Doug is going to need in his first full year as head coach.
Yeah, it'd be weird if Dave came back because of the circumstances in which he got fired, which was coming off of the winningest season the Kings had in 13 years.
Does he want to go back is probably a bigger question.
Yeah, he had 3 years in the head coaching role. Does it feel like you're kind of retreading a little bit? Not to say Dave is not a very good coach. I just feel like, we've been there, we've done that. I don't know if he wants to come back now 6 years later with the same ownership in place.
No. And everybody can talk about it, but it takes two to tango. A couple other names here that are going to be very familiar. Terry Stotts, who is with the Warriors. Look, again, he's got a lot of experience. I would be in on Terry Stotts, and I would assume that, hey, Terry Stotts, you can be my second, third chair for sure. And I don't think, Kyle, off the top of my head, there's no way Terry Stotts is second, third for the Warriors right now.
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember because Atkinson left. I think he's second or third chair at this point. I mean,
yeah, you got Ron Adams as well, and he's been there forever. So you got Ron Adams, Seth Cooper, Chris DeMarco. Yeah, they have a huge staff. And Terry Stotts, I think, is just kind of finding his way back into the carousel.
Yeah, that was kind of weird because he was with the Bucks, and then they traded for Dame, and he was Dame's guy. And then he resigned right before the season started, and then Adrian Griffin got fired. So I think it was like butting heads with Adrian Griffin. But that was kind of a weird situation in Milwaukee. 3
big names coming up. Also, a couple coaches currently out of the coaching rotation. We will get to them when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Lowe's knows Mother's Day is just around the corner, and there's no better time to refresh your garden. Right now, get 5 bags of 1.5 cubic foot Scott's Naturescapes mulch for $10. Plus, select 1.5 gallon Annuals hanging baskets make the perfect gift. Now 2 for only $20. The best garden starts with great deals. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/7. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like 2 sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for that water wheel.
Sacramento Rivercats baseball is here, and the Cats Pass is your all-access pass to the full 2025 season. Enjoy access to every single home game at Sutter Health Park at unbeatable value. Cats Pass holders receive access to the Sky River Casino Solon Club on select dates, along with upgrades and guest options. Join us for unbeatable value with the Sacramento Rivercats all season long. Get your Cats Pass today at rivercats.com.
Hi, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they've won over $500 million in settlements. Downtown LA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call Downtown. Text Injury Help to 40222. That's Injury Help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
On Sacktown Sports.
No more ex-dub ties. We have seen that movie before. Yeah, what happened in that movie, 916? You went to the playoffs. Terry Stott's been there 1 year anyway.
Yeah, Terry Stotts is more of a Portland guy.
He's hardly dub size. And even if he was, like I said, yeah, the movie was the one time the Kings that went to the playoffs in the last 2 decades.
Okay.
So I don't know about that.
Well, in fairness to the texter, let's be fair. In 2005, Terry Stotts was also an assistant in Golden State for 1 season.
Great. Like I said, the one time you hired an ex-dub, I should say probably more than one time, but the most recent time you hired an ex-dub, you went to the playoffs. No more ex-dubs ties. That's from the 916. And speaking of 916-339-1140, we got some big fish names to get to all day. It's just a big fish Thursday as far as the coaches and the players for our trade targets. That's right. Sacramento will be second to no one. Bernard is our first caller. He wants to be a part of the conversation, 916-339-1140. If you want to be a part of the conversation, what's up, Bernard? What you got for us?
Jay Triano, number 2 coach. No reason why he should stay there. He's has a winning percentage with the Kings. He's one of the last call-outs from Coach Brown, Mike Brown. I want your opinion on that, and I'll take it off the air. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Thanks for the call, Bernard. Great stuff. Yeah, Jay Triano, I don't have an issue with Jay Triano. It's more about, is this stuff awkward or not? And again, when we talk about Adelman with the Nuggets, Isalo with the Grizzlies, they didn't have any time with their assistants, right? They didn't have any time with their assistants. So they don't really have any loyalty to them. they can say, hey, it's been a couple weeks here, all good. Let's just go our separate ways. And the assistants might feel the same way. On the other hand, you have Doug Christie, who he had 50 games with this coaching staff. So that's a little bit different. They went through some things together. They went through a lot together. Trades, new players, the initial firing. The thing about Jay Triano, what we talked about before, when you look at where these coaches are on the depth chart, per se, Doug Christie leapfrogged Jay Triano. Okay, based on how things typically happen, Jay Triano and Luke Laux, they were the 2 and 3 chair to Mike Brown's 1 chair, and Doug Christie was the 4th. Doug Christie gets the nod to be interim head coach. So I think it's more of a conversation to Bernard's question if Jay Triano wants to stay. Do you feel if you were looking for a promotion at work and somebody that you work with and you do a little bit more than them at work, maybe your titles are super similar, and they get the promotion that you thought that you were in line for, or the other person that does your job, neither of you get it, and somebody that the CEO likes more gets it, can you get over that, right? It also comes down to leverage. Is Jay Triano a hot name as far as where else he can go? Because if he's not a hot name, then yeah, just like this job market right now. Well, I'm annoyed that they didn't promote me, but I also don't have a ton of other options, and I don't want to be out there in this job market. So yeah, I'll continue to be your lead assistant head coach, whatever it is. If it feels like Jay Triano has other options, you know what? Bleep the Kings. I got leapfrogged. Doug, it's nothing on you. I respect you, but I want to start somewhere else. And eventually I want to be a head coach. And clearly, if I got leapfrogged once, why would I think that if it doesn't work out with you, Doug, Scott Perry, I'm still connected to the Mike Brown situation. So, Doug, if it doesn't work out with you in a year, why in the hell would Scott Perry hire me as head coach? So I probably need just a different situation.
Well, so that was the interesting thing that was the first clue that made me realize, oh, this might be a longer term play with Doug, because I always thought it was interesting with Jay Triano not being the interim coach because he's been an interim coach twice in the NBA. He is 67 years old and is probably not going to get another head coaching job. He was the interim in Toronto. He was the interim in Phoenix. He ended up getting the full-time job in Toronto after that. I thought this is a guy who's had interim coaching experience, and it makes sense to kind of just have him be the coach for the rest of the season, and then they'll do a coaching search. But once they made Doug the coach, it was like, okay, this is more of a tryout than it would have been if they had just named Jay Triano the coach. I think Jay will ask himself, what do I want with my career at this point? Because I don't think he's ever going to be an NBA head coach again. But I don't know if he still has aspirations to do that, if he wants to coach national teams, whatever else. I don't know. But yeah, he'll be 67 next season, and I don't know if he sticks around if he sticks around, goes somewhere else. Does Doug want to keep him as associate head coach? I don't know.
Maybe that's the perfect situation where, hey, I know where I am in my career, and I like it out here. I don't necessarily want to start all over. Or he just takes a completely different pivot. But if you're asking me, Bernard, would I want Jay Triano to stay? For sure. I would be good with him staying. But it does get to a point where you look around this staff, very similar to the team, and you start thinking, hey, and I know the team has to play, but hey, this team was a 9 seed for the last 2 years. That's not very good. So how many people are we willing? Because we've already heard Leandro Barbosa is a name that everybody likes. We're looking around, keeping a bunch of the guys that were a part of this middling team, and I don't want to keep too many. You know what I mean? It wasn't a great team.
If it does help, Jay Triano was for 4 years the lead assistant under Terry Stotts in Portland.
See? The connections coming all together. The 916 that said no more ex-Warriors ties. I'm not going to say Dubs because somebody will yell at me because I'm from the Bay Area. No more ex-Warriors ties. They counter what I said with Mike Brown by saying, so Luke Walton worked out so well. Luke Walton was a 73-9 merchant. Can we admit that? He was a 73-9 merchant. That's what he was. And he's still when I looked it up, he's somewhere floating now. That 73-9 is guess that team, Kyle, quickly.
Oh, I know the answer.
Yeah,
it's
Detroit. Detroit. He was a 73-9 merchant. We can't count Luke Walton.
Well, the problem is if the bar is you can never have any association with the Golden State Warriors, you're going to have a lot of people whose names are going to get crossed off the list.
It's not the bar. All right, let's get to these three other big names. Look, this guy's another great basketball mind. They brought him in to help JJ, Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks with the Lakers right now, obviously spent all that time in Oklahoma City. I would take Scott Brooks for sure. Once again, I'm not sure that Scott Brooks would want to leave LA.
He's the third guy on the bench. They've got a pretty good thing going there.
He's not going anywhere, but I would take him. Another name, he finds himself in Phoenix, which this could be available based on what's happening. Take that for data, David Fizdale.
Well, that was the guy Scott Perry and it was Steve Mills hired. So
ties to Scott Perry.
The relationship is there.
If it's, hey, sure, I'll keep Doug, but can I get some of my guys in? And that would be funny because now Doug would know how it feels to kind of have somebody looking over you where it's, okay, if Doug doesn't necessarily want David Fizdale, but hey, we're going to put David on the team, Doug, because we do think that he's going to help. Now it's time is but a bitter circle or cycle where Doug will say, okay, well, I guess I was that guy. And wait, hold up. Wait, I was that guy, and I ended up taking the job.
I did make the joke last week when Scott Perry said his phone was blowing up incessantly. It's like, I think it's just David Fizdale calling him 6 times like, hey, Scott. Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott.
These are the guys.
Can I get a head coaching job?
That are vets in this league, and they're currently on staffs. And the last guy, we talked about him a lot, so don't want to spend a ton of time. No clue what he wants to do because he is kind of the random hot retread. It's hard to be a hot retread, but I feel like the Van Gundys do this about once every 5 years where they get off the coaching carousel, then they turn into hot retreads again. That's what's happening with Jeff Van Gundy with the Clippers. So I think he almost might be too hot of a name to be an assistant coach for the Kings. He either stays with the Clippers and, gets a promotion there, or somebody says, hey, he's the hot retread. Come be the coach of whatever team it is. I would love Jeff Van Gundy, but I don't see him doing that job again. Doing that job for Ty Lue is one thing, and the Clippers and Kawhi and James Harden. Doing that job for Doug Christie in Sacramento, I personally can't see Jeff Van Gundy doing it.
Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator, and I know you mentioned they have great defensive players, but they went from being 17th, 18th in the 2 years prior to now being 3rd in defensive ratings. So he has definitely made a difference.
And now I have a couple names that are floating. Would you take Frank Vogel if he was willing to be an assistant? I'm not sure that he would be. Would you take Mike Budenholzer if he was willing to be an assistant? Again, I don't know if either of them would be willing to do it. 2 names currently not coaching. You got Mike D'Antoni and you have Monty Williams, who Monty Williams is currently coaching his sons right now in high school. Would you want either of them on the staff? A lot of options for Doug, but it takes 2 to tango. When we return, Jake Gadon, CBS 13 reporter, joins us to talk Sac State and, of course, Sacramento Kings. Down south, Sacktown Sports.
Listen, Mom loves anything you give her for Mother's Day, but what she really wants is a call or a visit. Anything to feel close to you. And a digital picture frame from Aura will go a long way to making her feel closer to you. Help Mom miss you less by putting the power of technology to work. Aura Frames was named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter and featured in 495 gift guides this past year. I absolutely love it. There's no doubt in my mind my wife Janet is getting one of these things. She loves pictures so much. I know she is going to love this product. So the next time you need to call your mom, you can also send her a new pic of you from that trip that you were telling her all about right from your phone. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on this perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURAframes.com. Promo code ROAM. Support the station by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply.
The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is back for another thrilling season at Monterey's iconic WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, May 9th through the 11th. Only in Monterey can you experience a high-octane mix of international drivers, cutting-edge prototypes, and GT sports cars racing wheel to wheel. There'll be gourmet food, wine, craft beers, family entertainment, and exclusive fan engagement with the drivers in the open race paddock. Buy your tickets now and experience world-class motorsports. Visit WeatherTechRaceway.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com. Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com. Sacramento, get ready. The Sacktown Sports Live events calendar is packed with epic shows you won't want to miss. Classic rock bands. America takes the stage at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on May 9th. Then hip-hop legend LL Cool J brings the beats to Thunder Valley on May 10th. The Outlaw Music Festival rolls into Toyota Amphitheater on May 18th. And punk pioneers The Dam hit Ace of Spades on May 31st. June heats up with JJ Gray and Mofro at Ace of Spades on June 10th. Plus, country superstars Lee Brice and Walker Hayes at Ironstone Amphitheater on June 21st. Then, it's 3 days of country fun at the Country Summer Music Festival at Sonoma County Fairgrounds on June 27th through the 29th. Get your boots ready for the Folsom Pearl Rodeo July 3rd through 5th. Then, catch Cody Johnson at Golden One Center on July 18th and Parker McCollum at Ironstone Amphitheater on August 16th. Mark your calendars, grab your tickets, and don't miss out. Find all the details at sacktownsports.com. Hey, Marvel fans, get ready for the next heroes to hit the largest screen in Sacramento with Thunderbolts, the IMAX experience, playing this week at the Esquire IMAX Theater in downtown.
You thought you were going to be some great saviors? You can't even save yourself.
Filmed for IMAX, the best place to immerse yourself in Marvel's Thunderbolts is on the Esquire IMAX 6-story screen and thunderous sound system. Get your reserved seats today at IMAX.com/Sacramento. Thunderbolts, playing this week at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Switch to Comcast Business Mobile and save hundreds a year on your wireless bill. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Restrictions apply. Comcast Business Internet required. Compares 2 unlimited intro lines and lowest price 5G plans of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabytes of usage. Data thresholds may vary.
KHDK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
11 o'clock hour, and like I said, we have an all-star group of guests today. Got the roundtable, a version of the roundtable coming up at 12 o'clock. Chris Watkins, Brenden Nunes. But right now, CBS 13, Jake Gadon, sports director, by the way. Gadon joins us. Jake, thank you so much for. Oh no, the hat just right there in front of me. The Yankee. Is this Carticelli's cousin? What's up, Jake? How you doing?
We're rocking, buddy. We're getting ready for next week. You know, it's a big series here at Sutter Health Park. Aaron Judge, the Linden native, going to come back and hit, a couple home runs. Maybe one of them actually hits the Tower Bridge.
So it's that quick, huh? Man, time is flying. So Yankees, A's next week already?
Yep, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. Get ready for it, baby. I'm excited. I think it's going to be I think Sutter Health Park, everyone keeps on talking about how that place is not going to be sold out. I think it'll be sold out for that weekend, guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, they were about maybe between 3 and 5 true money weekends. And it was the Yankees. I think the Red Sox come out here too. And obviously the Giants got 4th of July. That's going to be insane. And I'm looking at it now, Jake. That's Mother's Day weekend as well. So anybody out there looking to do something fun with your mom, if your mom's into sports, whatever the case may be, go on out to the park and say what's up to Jake Gadon and say Allen Stiles sent you. Jake,
Don't say hi to me. I'm gonna be inebriated. Okay, don't say hi to me. Okay?
And I also saw. I've seen you during Yankees games. Maybe don't say hi to Jake Gadon and just give him a wave and keep pushing. Jake, I wanted to get you on the show, obviously to talk Kings, but you've been doing great work with everything that's happening with Sac State, and obviously Sac State, they have really just jumped on the scene here. There was a whole Sac-12 situation. Now they might be independent. They're definitely making moves. And in the football world and basketball world, Jaden Rashada for football, the top recruit, he's going to be with Sac State, at least for now. We never know with the transfers. He's going to be with Sac State. Mikey Williams and Shakir O'Neal in basketball. What's going on with Sac State right now?
I think it really starts with Luke Wood, the president of the university, really pushing to make this an actual Division I destination for athletes in Northern California. Of course, we have Cal, we have Stanford, but those are really hard institutions to get into, specifically academically. I think with Luke Wood, you look at it and say, hey, this is another great market to tap into. It's the number 20 TV market in the country, a lot of untapped potential in terms of not only high school recruits, but also the money out here is just as green as it is in San Francisco, just as green as it is in LA. I think right now it starts with Luke Wood wanting to put athletics front and center for the university. His saying is, the athletics is the doorstep or the carpet to the university, and then once you get in, you find out all the great things about the university. And I agree with them. At the end of the day, your brand is only as big as your athletic department sometime and how well they do. And they have been in the news nationally, locally for the past 6 months, specifically though this past 2 weeks. Man, the football team, like you said, getting a 4-star guy coming from Georgia, played a little bit at Arizona State, went to high school at Pittsburgh right up the road, and Jaden Rashada. This guy is going to be a bona fide star here at Sac State. And then, of course, Mikey Williams, like you mentioned, man, Mike Bibby, what a hire to put that guy out there and be able to bring in big-time players like Mikey Williams. Of course, he has a past. I believe he had nine felony charges for a gun-related charge where something to do with something at his hometown, San Diego. I didn't get the full details of it, but I know that he was able to come to a plea deal and able to return to basketball-related activities because of that. So there is a past that comes with Mikey Williams. There's a caveat with it. But I think both these guys are big-time athletes and brings big-time exposure to Sac State, specifically Mikey Williams, because of the Instagram following and the YouTube following that he has. He's going to be able to put a spotlight on the Hornets.
Talking to Jake Gadon, CBS 13 Sports all around. Jake, so Shaq, that was the other big story. Shaq becoming, these GMs are just popping up out of everywhere. Some GMs actually have, Wes Wilcox go to Utah. I don't think Wes Wilcox and Shaq are going to be, and Steph Curry for Davidson. I don't think that they're all going to be doing the same thing. I think that they're different levels. Obviously, Steph is still playing. Shaq isn't. And then you have Wes Wilcox, who is actually going to be in the weeds doing stuff from that position. How involved? We had some fun with Shaq and kind of comparing it to the parent and AAU stuff, just having some fun because we'd love to have Shaq on the show. But realistically, how involved do you think Shaq will be, or is this just a name to be connected? Obviously, he went to LSU, so I don't know, can you be a GM in 2 places? LSU clearly has a crazy alumni as far as the athletics are concerned, but how involved do you think Shaq is actually going to be with Sac State basketball?
Okay, so I've been telling people this. Like, I'd be shocked if he showed up to three games this year. I think he'll probably come to the home opener. I think he'll probably be an entertainment at a halftime show middle of the year, and then he'll come to senior night for his son.
He's gonna be DJing out there. He's gonna be DJing.
Who knows? You never know. He could bring the whole TNT crew down there, and they could do a whole show from out there. Who knows? I think with Shaq, I think it's the name branding, but I also think it's the connections that he's able to have. I think he's a face to a name that brings exposure to a program that really hasn't had much exposure over the past 3 to 5 years. And that's nothing against the previous coaching staffs over at Sac State, but man, if you ever see where those Hornets play men's basketball or women's basketball games in the Nest, like that was just almost an equivalent of a high school gym. So now that they have this new gymnasium that they're going to play in next year, they're bringing in a new head coach. They have a great women's head basketball coach as well, and then adding Shaq to the fold. I think, like I said, it's name exposure. He'll be able to get connections to athletes that maybe Mike might not have or previous coaching staffs may not have had. But for him, I think it's also, a money grab a little bit. I think he's going to be able to bring some money into the program through sponsorships, through NIL. So it's not a bad thing to have Shaq on your side, but I also don't think he's going to be at every other game or every game for the Hornets this next year. I'd be surprised if he was, and maybe he is. Who knows? But he's a busy guy. I think this is going to be kind of a hire that is a flashy hire where he does a lot of things behind the scenes. And then you have guys like a Sac State alum, Zach Chappelle, who's the assistant general manager, who is working more day-to-day activities for the team and putting things together. But, hey, they now have money, though, like Allen. Like, it looks like they have NIL money from football and basketball, something that they were struggling with before. And I keep on telling people, like, if they continue to add all these athletes, like, winning the Big Sky, specifically in basketball, isn't as hard as you think. Like, the depth of the league is not that great. And if they're able to bring in guys like they have with Mikey Williams, and then, of course, there's another former top 100 recruit that was a 3-star guy out of Georgia, if they bring in some serious talent and length and size, I really think not only would they compete in the Big Sky, but I think they could win it. It's just not that hard or competitive of a league to be able to win it. Every year, it's usually the Montanas of the world that will win it. So getting back to Shaq, though, I think it's a great hire for Mike. Brand, name exposure for him. I just don't know how involved he is, and I would doubt that he would really be that involved with how busy of a person he is.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. It's better than not having him, right? So, even somebody as cynical as I can be, it's better than not having Shaq, right? We're not going to hold him to the same regard as others, but it's better to have the name than to not have the name. So shout out to Shaq being a part of the Stingers Up movement. Let's switch over to the other Sacramento team, and that might be the term, Jake. If they don't find a way to get out of this play-in purgatory, the Scott Perry presser happened last week, and a couple days later, about a week later, Doug Christie gets named. Obviously, you're well-connected and well-versed in all things Sacramento Kings. We all knew that this is where this thing was headed. How are you feeling about the process or lack thereof when it comes to Doug Christie? I'm kind of the mindset, look, we kind of knew what it was. Let's just see what happens. I understand why people are upset that there wasn't a full-on search, but I do think that Scott Perry knew that there wasn't going to be a full-on search.
I think let's start here. One, how crazy is it if you're a 2000s baby that you see Mike Bibby as a head coach of Sac State, and now you see Doug Christie, full-time head coach of the Sacramento Kings? Like, right? I'd be sitting here like, are we back in 2001? What's going on here? Like,
I need my tall tee on and my big jeans, Jake, and my Air Force Ones. That's all I need for what's going on right now.
I'm waiting for both of them to wear the really long, bulky suits that they used to wear in the early 2000s, where it's like way too much cloth and like the jacket is down to the knees. We digress, though. I think when you look at the hire, I think this was a hire that when you hired Scott Perry, Perry was told, hey, it's kind of a package deal of you hiring Doug Christie, just with how much he means to the organization. And to be honest, great of a job he kind of did with the circumstances they had last year. Like, hey, you got rid of your best player. You had some turmoil within the roster. Like, it wasn't the easiest thing to navigate last year, and he navigated with grace and was able to have a winning record. Now, that winning record was mainly in the first 30 games, then in the last 20, and we could delve into that. I just think this was the safe pick. They could have gone through this whole entire process of trying to find a new head coach, but you don't know where you're gonna end. Like, could you go Mark Jackson? Like, was that something that piques your interest, or would you rather have Doug Christie, who knows the team very well and has a connection with Domantas Sabonis? Which I want to also hammer home that point. I think hiring Doug also puts at ease to Sabonis's possibility of wanting to get out of the organization. I know a lot of people have, projected that Domas may be on the chopping block this offseason about possibly being traded because of his contract and possibly not wanting to deal with the volatility that's here in Sacramento. I think by bringing in Doug, you secure the fact that Sabonis will probably want to be here for a long-term deal or still stick out his deal and see where this goes, just purely off of their connection. And then also, I believe on your network, that you guys reported that Zach LaVine asked for Doug to be back as well. So when you have your two-star players saying, "Hey, I want this guy to be our head coach," I think he has a great rapport with all the players, from Sabonis to LaVine to DeMar to even down all the way to Malik Monk. Like, I think he has a great feel for the game. My intriguing part for me with the hire of Doug is who he surrounds himself with. And from what I'm being told, it could be a brand new coaching staff this next year. I know Jay Triano is definitely in the fold of trying to stay with this team, with the offense that they roll. But he's going to have to hire a new quote-unquote defensive coordinator and numbers guy, the role that Jordi Fernandez had and Luke Laux had last year. Associate head coaches are, of course, it's a very volatile position. I've been told that right now that it doesn't look like majority of those guys are coming back. So I could see Doug having a brand new roster or coaching staff this next year. And what that means for the Kings, well, I think he's going to surround himself with guys that are probably more coaches, like, if that makes any sense, in terms of X's and O's and analytical type of stuff, where Doug is more of a field type of coach and more of a player's coach. I think he's got to surround himself with a little bit more experience on that bench, and I'll be intrigued to see who he brings in. But from right now, I don't know. There's no names that have been popped up because this just got announced a couple of days ago. But I wouldn't be surprised by early next week if we start hearing rumblings of what assistant coaches are joining the team. And I would start with Jay Triano, the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, to see if he ends up sticking around. But from my understanding that, all these options are open.
Wow, well, there you have it from Jake. Been hearing that it could be a whole new staff. We were just talking about the coaching staff and who could stay. I know Leandro Barbosa, a lot of people like him as well. So we're going to find out this stuff.
Put him in there. Put him in there. I think Barbosa is a guy that you can really safely say stays, unless he has a better opportunity to comes his way. He has a great connection with the organization, and him and Doug have a great relationship as well.
Jake Gadon, sports director for CBS 13. Jake, by the way, I did want to say congrats. Obviously, I did on social media, but you worked your tail off, man, and you enjoy it. Somewhat newly named sports director of CBS 13. Appreciate you coming on the show. I will be seeing you at that Yankee game, and you better hope they win, Jake, because I'm going to let you have it if they don't. Thanks for joining us as always, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you. Go Yankees.
Cut the end of that, Kyle. Great stuff, Jake, from Jake, as always. And, that aligns perfectly with what we've already been talking about as far as the coaching staff. We got to get to a break. We're overtime. We'll be back in about 1.5 minutes. And when we will break down what Jake had to say about the coaching staff and what direction should the Kings go in. This double big movement is starting to take over, or should they focus on the point guard? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Lowe's knows Mother's Day is just around the corner, and there's no better time to refresh your garden. Right now, get 5 bags of 1.5 cubic foot Scott's Naturescapes mulch for $10. Plus, select 1.5 gallon annuals hanging baskets make the perfect gift. Now 2 for only $20. The best garden starts with great deals. Lowe's, we help, you save.
Valid through 5/7. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat. Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Great stuff from Jake Gadon, CBS Sports. You can check him out on CBS Sports. And be sure to follow him on social media as well. Great follow, super plugged in, not just with the Kings, but with Sac State, who is trying to make some big, big moves here. And, you know, whether they get to the Pac-12 or Pac-4, whatever they are right now, or going a different direction, the bottom line is, look, and this goes with a lot of things in life right now, especially when it comes to people that are trying to kind of forge their own path. You know, back in the day, you used to have to join places for a brand. You join places and we help grow your brand. We think you're talented. We help grow your brand and vice versa. Nowadays, people want you to be a brand. So Sac State is putting themselves in a position where they can become their own brand. We got Shaq. We got Mike Bibby. We got some top recruits. Let's let the bidding war start. Who wants us and what we bring to the table? That's how you're supposed to do it these days. You become the brand, and then people bid after you. That's McAfee. That's a lot of these guys. Stephen A is a kind of a different situation because he's been doing it so long. He was a part of that initial let's grow together. But now Stephen A is his own brand. So the same thing happens with these teams. We are a brand now. Sac State is popping. Singers Up is everywhere. Now, who wants us and what we bring to the table? Great stuff from Jake Gadon. And before we get to what Jake had to say about the coaching staff, Kyle, I got to play this JJ Redick sound. I might play it again during What Are We Doing? Because it is ridiculous. I listened to it during the break again. JJ is kind of off his rocker, and he's going to rub people the wrong way, and he hasn't done anything in this league yet. And I look, maybe I'm being a little sensitive, you know, media love and all that, but this was completely uncalled for. Here it is.
As you watch the film, what do you recall about your thought process in the moment, sticking with the five you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day? And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get, you know, some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? You think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I, every single time. That's a weird assumption.
And then he gets up and walks out. And part of this is JJ, look, he was in the media, right? He can't lie and say, I don't pay attention. He does. And he was getting ripped about keeping that same five in for the whole second half or whatever it was. And now he's just a bit tired of it. And this reporter, wrong place, wrong time. My issue is this. And this is what happens with Laker fans, with LeBron fans, all of them alike. And even now, JJ, don't be, hey, I'm Mr. Media Guy. I was in the media. We're all cool. And I cuss. And we're all on the same page here. I did a podcast with LeBron. But then when you lose, now you throw a hissy fit and you're going to be rude to people. They're all Laker fans, Laker coaches, Laker players. They're all front runners. They're all front runners. It was big front runner energy from JJ. They win that game. Yeah, it's all good, man. Yeah, what do you want to know? Yeah, I'm the genius that played the same five. I'm the genius that never played a center. Jackson Hayes stinks. I'm not going to play that bum because I know what I'm doing. Be the same. I know you're not always going to be the exact same person because when you win and you lose, you behave differently. JJ kind of, I don't know where I was at with JJ. He's just giving very much entitled, very much, I'm the smartest person in the room. I thought Kyle Shanahan was bad until I saw JJ Redick. At least Kyle Shanahan been to, and I know TC's probably about to call in because it's like when you say Beetlejuice, when you say Kyle Shanahan on this show. But at least Kyle Shanahan been to some Super Bowls, right? He can come off a little bit smug, but at least Kyle Shanahan has done things. JJ, who the hell are you? You haven't done anything to treat this reporter this way. You made some dumb moves. Just wear it. Stop being a front runner, or maybe don't stop being it. That's why you're perfect for the Lakers, because that's what you all do. Grow up. And there's your Style Espresso at 11:30.
I was like, I don't know how to respond to that because I was going to be like,
I can't believe he acted like that.
Stop being a front runner, grow up. All one sentence was crazy, but
just stop it.
Look, I'm going to extend JJ Redick a little bit of grace.
Oh my!
I can make you sound like a terrible person if I wanted to.
Why?
Do you remember what was going on in his life in January?
Are we talking about the fires?
Yeah, I'm like, JJ Redick's had a long year, okay?
Well,
I'm going to extend him a little bit of grace for being mean. At the same time...
But Kyle, you can't do that when everything is goody.
At the same time, I will say, everybody, his friends in the media, former coaches, crushing him for the decision to play the entire five-man lineup in the second half. So that's not the greatest response when... right after the game, people don't really have the chance to really get in the weeds on it or hear people's reaction.
Right.
This is his first chance to really respond to the decision, and all he has to do is just don't go viral. How often?
Oh, yeah, by the way, it was in the video, he leaves. He dropped the mic, and then he leaves. That sound, that thud is him placing the mic down and walking off.
I will agree in the sense this is the worst possible way you could have responded to that, but at the same time, I understand that they don't have depth and they feel like they don't have any big men, and that was the decision they rolled with. But I think they were going to get cooked either way. Just sit up there and take it, like you said.
Yes, and the people that are always... Kyle Shanahan, he can do it sometimes, be kind of front runner-esque, but the Bill Belichicks of the world, when he was coaching in the NFL, not right now, but the Bill Belichicks of the world, the guys that are just always the same, Mike Tomlin, guys like that, I respect that even if it's not as entertaining, because at least they're the same person, win or lose. You're not going to be the same person, win or lose, like I said, but JJ, you can't be up and down like that. It just was I just think it was a terrible look.
No, it was.
It looked immature. Hey, look, don't tell me, I didn't mess up. Let me throw my mic down and leave. Just grow up, man.
But we know how media training works, right? If the person in the media calls you an inexperienced idiot who played all of his coaches.
The reporter didn't do that. And he's asking the question that was going to get asked. It was just the wrong place, wrong time for that reporter.
If he thinks the reporter's calling him an inexperienced idiot, because I'm sure all day he's hearing.
The reporter didn't, but everyone else collectively did. So he's responding to everyone else vis-a-vis, and that's who was Mr. Vis-a-vis? Kleiman, vis-a-vis that reporter.
Yes, I agree with that. I just look at it like he made the bad public decision. Been a long season. He's had mistakes here and there. He's going to get... Because, again, everyone was talking about how brilliant J.J. Redick had been in turning around the Lakers earlier in the season, and now it comes back around to a decision that, quite frankly, looked inexperienced. And J.J. Redick has, again, like you said, you use different words than I would use, but uses a petty, making him look small kind of response.
Yeah. What did he say at the end? What an odd assumption. Was it odd that he said?
That's a weird assumption.
Weird. It's a weird assumption.
As do I, every single time.
As do I, every single time. Well, JJ, enjoy Cancun.
You know what? Now that I heard it, as do I, douchey response.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You can't say as do I.
Yeah. Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced? No, JJ, I'm saying it because you had the fourth best odds to win the whole thing, and you lost to a 6 seed.
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I.
Yeah, I redact my first comment. Can't say as do I.
As do I. But when we return, let's talk Kings coaching staff. Also, the double big movement. Is it real or is it just being repackaged? And the point guard hierarchy, who should the Kings go after? One of these bigs to make it the beefy 5-layer combo or an elite point guard? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Keegan Murray is Sacktown Sports.
Out to Keegan Murray, straight away for three, and Keegan knocks down the triple.
Hey Sacramento, it's Keegan Murray, and you're listening to the home of Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Count on Kohl's for those special gifts Mom deserves this Mother's Day. Inspire her inner chef with must-haves for her kitchen, wellness essentials for her fitness routine, and jewelry for her perfect night out. Plus, you can save 15% on some of your finds and earn Kohl's Cash. Find Mom's perfect gift in time for Mother's Day at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer valid through May 11th. Kohl's Cash and coupons do not apply to Sephora. Exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for more details.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes. So it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Sacramento River Cats baseball is here, and the Cats Pass is your all-access pass to the full 2025 season. Enjoy access to every single home game at Sutter Health Park at unbeatable value. Cats Pass holders receive access to the Sky River Casino Solon Club on select dates, along with upgrades and guest options. Join us for unbeatable value with the Sacramento River Cats all season long. Get your Cats Pass today at rivercats.com.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Sky River Casino, Hop Valley Brewing, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Find out more at CITPFest.com. The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is back for another thrilling season at Monterey's iconic WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, May 9th through the 11th. Only in Monterey can you experience a high-octane mix of international drivers, cutting-edge prototypes, and GT sports cars racing wheel to wheel. W gourmet food, wine, craft beers, family entertainment, and exclusive fan engagement with the drivers in the open race paddock. Buy your tickets now and experience world-class motorsports. Visit WeatherTechRaceway.com.
It's Carmichael Dave talking to you about my good friends at American Energy. You're in the Sacramento area. You know how the seasons work. They are a-changing right now. So American Energy wants to help you stay warm for the rest of the cold season, but help you stay cool during the warm season. Best way to do that, make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of half off a tune-up, $24.50. They cut that right in half, and if you want a diagnostic, guess what? You can't beat free. If it's free, it's me, and now it can be you. And also, it's the end of the season blowout. $4,000 off a new system plus any rebates. That $4,000, that's a direct drop from the sticker price. It's a great deal. Check them out at theaeway.com for an instant quote or give them a call at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
At Valley Strong Credit Union, we know that local businesses are the backbone of the Central Valley, investing in our neighborhoods, boosting the economy, making the Valley stronger. But when it comes to their finances, where can they turn? A big bank that just sees another number? That's not good enough. Valley businesses deserve Valley support for payroll, credit, cash flow, and everything in between. Valley Business is Valley Strong. Learn how our cash management services can support your business at valleystrong.com.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
It's so funny. Two numbers coming in here, both from the 916, both saying the first number, did LeBron endorse the move by JJ to play the entire second half? Second number, was it really JJ's decision or LeBron's? Look, I'm on record that I think that LeBron was a part of the JJ process, even if he doesn't want to admit it. I'm on record. But I do think there's even a line when it comes to LeBron. I don't think LeBron is in the huddles in game trying to tell JJ what to do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will ride all day as far as LeBron making decisions to bring people in. I don't know that in-game LeBron is saying, don't sub out anybody. Just continue on with who they have. I don't think it goes that far. Even I have a line for what I believe LeBron can and can't do. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think LeBron is definitely in the loop when decisions get made to bring people in. I don't know if LeBron is making those decisions in game. Maybe conversations are coming up. I don't know.
No, I think the broader LeBron has done that in the past, but I think the point is hiring his podcast co-host to be the head coach was a step in the direction of I'm putting someone who I trust.
That's what I'm saying.
To make those choices.
I would believe it more if it was Darvin Ham or somebody that LeBron, we don't know that he approved of or not. But I'm bringing JJ in so I don't have to do that because we have, and I just saw Sinners, it's like a hive mind. We kind of think the same way. So that's why I don't think that LeBron is overruling JJ in those situations.
Which makes sense because Vogel was the hire and they won the championship. And when they moved on from Vogel, the coach that the front office made the decision to hire Darvin. Didn't work out, so then they get LeBron's input on the next coach, and you get someone who LeBron trusts, and I think that's one of the most important things.
Quick notes from Jake Gadon, who joined us at 11, and that will be up on YouTube. Jake Gadon, sports director and reporter for CBS 13. According to Jake, he talked about Jay Triano. There is a belief that Jay Triano wants to stay. There is a belief that Leandro Barbosa may stay as well. But outside of those two guys, good chance we're looking at a brand new coaching staff, which I think is pretty much in line with what I would have guessed. The Jay Triano and Kyle, great breakdown of just where he is in his career, right? He's, on the other side of it, you would say. So how long does he want to do this? What are his goals at this point in his career? And you stay in this thing and you're working, and let's not forget you're working for an ownership group that the story was, hey, you got to fire one of those guys, and one of those guys is gone in Luke Laux, and the other one was Jay Triano. So do you want to continue to be a part of that? Because it gets to a point where I'm too old for this, right? I don't need this. I've made my name in this league. I don't need to deal with this. Now, Doug, I might deal with it for you because I respect you and I want to see you succeed. But is that enough? Leandro Barbosa is a different story. He's still trying to make his way, still trying to make waves in the coaching world. So we get Leandro Barbosa part of it. But if I'm Jay Triano, I might just be too old for this. I don't want to deal with it.
And Jay Triano's been through some mess in his time in the NBA. He was in Toronto when Chris Bosh left to join the Big Three. He was with Robert Sarver and the Phoenix Suns. Yeah. This guy has been through some messy situations in the NBA. So I don't know if that helps or hurts his case, but Jake kind of made the point, like, yeah, it seems like maybe Jay would like to stick around, but that's ultimately a Doug Christie decision. At least it seems like it's going to be a Doug Christie decision.
Right. So it comes down to their relationship and where they go from there. Kyle and I had a bit of a spirited discussion about this in the pre-show meeting because there is a picture going viral and it's on the heels of the teams that have advanced. And the idea is that it is a new era of the quote unquote double bigs. So this is a kind of a semantic conversation where you have the first picture is Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. The second picture is Jared Allen and Mobley. The third picture, Isaiah Hartenstein, and you have Chet Holmgren. So the conversation is this the era of the double big, or are dudes just getting taller? Because double big, to me, means two guys that are essentially playing the center position in a way. Julius Randle is a power forward. Mobley is a really tall power forward. Chet Holmgren is a really tall power forward. All three of those guys can play center if need be in small ball lineups because they stretch the floor. But I don't know that they're double bigs or if dudes are just eating their Wheaties and Kevin Durant started this unicorn movement and power forwards are just taller now. The only picture that they add in here, which I think is a more traditional double big, if you will, would be Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams, and they don't play together that much. Steven Adams eclipsed 25 minutes for maybe the first time all season, and they almost won that game. But last night, he played 17 minutes. So that is an actual beefy layer, and I'm bringing this all the way back to Domantas Sabonis, if you will, and who his running mate should be. Could the fans finally get what they want, and you see more Valanciunas and Sabonis? That, to me, is more traditional than a picture of a bunch of tall power forwards and centers.
True, but what do all those centers you mentioned have in common?
They're great on defense.
Shot blockers.
Yeah.
Shot blocking centers with big fours that could play fives is kind of the formula I think people are talking about. Think Steven Adams and Şengün. People keep talking about that with the Rockets too, which maybe we'll bring this up when Chris Watkins comes in too, because he said something really insightful a couple weeks ago about how centers nowadays are similar to running backs in the sense that there's 5 or 6 really good ones, and if you have a unique skill set, Sabonis as a point center, Jokic as a point center, Şengün as a point center, for example, then you go with that, but you can also find them all over the league, just 7'1" dudes who block shots and take up space. I think it's interesting that people are now, in my mind, making the distinction between big man and tall man kind of situations. Like there's big men who are beefy shot blockers, 7'1", but usually shoot like 17% from 3. And then there's 7-foot big men, which I joke to kind of dismiss them as like when the going gets tough, they pull up from 15 feet. Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Chet Holmgren,
right?
You know, guys like that.
Which leads us back to why Domantas Sabonis is so tough, because you could go double big, beefy layer Nacho with Jokic. They haven't because they have Aaron Gordon, who's a stud, but you could. Domantas Sabonis, again, you look at what Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün are doing. That's because they're facing a really small Warriors team, and that's not a starting lineup. All the other pictures, Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, they start. The Cavs, they're two bigs, they start. You have the Thunder, they're two bigs, they start. For the most part, Hartenstein will start because that secondary guy can stretch the floor. That's why, to me, with the Kings, you can't do what these guys are doing because that's not Domantas Sabonis. I'm going to use that word again, kind of like a tweener in a way. So you can't do that. you can do it in spurts, and maybe I would hope that Doug is watching the Rockets to say, hey, how do they utilize two guys that don't really stretch the floor? Sengun will shoot threes, but I would say at the same clip, it looks a little bit smoother than Sabonis, but basically at the same clip as Sabonis. If they're able to do that in spurts, how can we utilize that? But I don't think Domantas Sabonis' skill set allows you to do this unless who you're bringing in is not Valanciunas, who you're bringing in is the stretch four. Domantas Sabonis cannot be the stretch four. That's the issue.
Yeah, Domantas Sabonis' issues is defending. He's not a shot blocker.
Exactly. So he's stuck. He does some stuff that the four does, and he really well, and he does some stuff that the five does really well, but you can't put him there. If you brought in Julius Randle, it could probably work because of Julius Randle at the four, but defensively, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, and that's the tough part about Sabonis, and I think also the tough part about the Rockets trying to figure out what to do with Sengun. Mm-hmm. I think they're kind of in that same camp. That's why they're playing Steven Adams 30 minutes during these series, and specifically, people are making the case of Minnesota and Houston and Cleveland doing it, but they're all dominating against teams that do not have a traditional big.
Yeah.
OKC, I think, would have won the series either way, but against Edey, I don't know if that's the most effective strategy. But if you're going up against Bam, or you're going up against Quentin Post, or you're going up against, I guess, Dorian Finney-Smith as the start. Rudy Gobert had 24 rebounds yesterday. Like, that's the strategy that is effective.
All right, it's time. The newest trade candidate. And like I said, it's a big fish Thursday. Who are we going after? And this one is in the lake out there in Milwaukee. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting SacktownSports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
We will be second to no one. And look, I know what everyone is going to say. Someone's just getting into their car right now saying, Allen, why are you wasting your time talking about the Kings getting Giannis? Well, I'll tell you like this. I think it would be disrespectful to the people of Sacramento and Sacramento Kings fans everywhere to not discuss Giannis. And at first, I wasn't. And I wanted to keep everything more realistic. But you know what? Reality is going to hit us. So why not live in a world where something could happen that you didn't expect? Now, is it probable? No. Is it possible? Yes, because anything is possible until it's not. And again, it starts right here in the 916 with a level of belief. I reference my mother a lot on this show. If you don't believe in yourself, why in the hell should anybody else believe in you? If we don't think that Giannis would want to come out here and some of these big names, then why should they? Now, there is a level of Dallas Cowboy, Los Angeles Laker delusion that I don't want to necessarily dip into. But as most things in life, there is a happy medium. And my job on this show for 4 hours is to try to find that happy medium. Now, sometimes I go hot, sometimes I go cold. But Kyle and I work together to try to get this situation to a point where you can at least say, hey, I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but okay, I'm listening. And with that being said, Kyle, let's hear those trade packages. I want to hear if there's one so wild that somebody would say no. Because in theory, there's nothing you would say no to unless there is. All right, Kyle, the floor is yours.
All right, so let's go with the two possible trade packages. Number one, the Milwaukee Bucks are tearing this thing to the ground package. Mm-hmm. In this deal, the Kings get Giannis Antetokounmpo and Allen's favorite, Bobby Portis.
Oh, give him the whole team. Just run Giannis and Bobby out there with Sabonis and Keon Ellis. We don't even need 5 players.
In this deal, the Bucks would get, for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis, Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray.
Goodbye.
Devin Carter.
Au revoir.
6 first-round picks.
Adios.
2 future pick swaps. The Charlotte second-rounder that we get because of the Spurs trade, and another second-rounder in 2031. So to add that up, that is 6 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and 2 second-round picks.
And this is green. This is a success.
This would work, yes. It would be Sacramento's 2026, 2028, 2030, and 2032 firsts. The Spurs first they got in the Fox trade, and the unprotected Minnesota pick that they got in the Fox trade.
Look, man, we asked the question, what is Sac State cooking with all these recruits? What is Kyle cooking? Why does this seem not completely insane from the Bucs side of things? Now, obviously, there will be teams that can whip up better packages. We get all that. But for the sake of the drill, I mean, where do I sign?
You would give up your entire future for a team that is, if I'm doing the math correct here, insert generic point guard.
Dennis Schroeder.
Keon Ellis, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis, Giannis, Bobby Portis, Jonas Valanciunas, and Malik.
Off the bench.
Yes,
in a heartbeat. All day.
You would give up your entire future for
what future? Team. Bleep them kids.
For 2 years.
Yes.
2 years and possibly a third.
This would be the biggest star in the history of the Sacramento Kings. You would immediately be in the conversation to actually do something. I don't know what these picks are going to be. They could all be garbage. You might end up trading them away to somebody else anyway. I'm doing it.
But in this scenario, this is your team for the next 2 years.
Yeah, great.
It's generic point guard, Keon, DeRozan, Giannis, Sabonis, and then coming off the bench, Malik, Bobby Portis, and Jonas Valanciunas.
Get Sabonis in the gym, shooting them threes all day long. Okay? That's all you need to figure it out. A little bit of a quicker release. This is not Look, man, I don't know if this is coffee or Kool-Aid, but I'm drinking it anyway. I'm in. I don't think this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Now, again, somebody wants to give more than that. Sure, but maybe they don't. Maybe somebody says that's a little rich for my blood for 2 years.
Maybe Orlando says, I don't want to give up Anthony Black and Jet Howard and 4 unprotected firsts.
916, glad you're not the GM. Yeah, let's hang out in the play-in. Let's hang out and play in purgatory for a long time. Yeah, 916, you're buying a Giannis jersey if he comes to Sacramento for 2 years. You're buying a Giannis jersey if he comes here for 2 months. We're still talking about Scott Perry like he's been here for 5 years. He was here 3 for 4 months. Allen with a great connection to talk for 7 years. Stop it. Giannis for 2 years. Stop playing with me. Do the deal.
Well, now we have trade package number 2, which is the Bucks still want to win now, even though they're trading Giannis.
All right, I'm still listening.
So in that deal, the Kings would get Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kyle Kuzma.
Now I'm definitely in.
For Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, 4 future first-round picks and 2 pick swaps.
Huh.
Which would leave you with a roster.
Yeah, let me hear what I have left.
So now you have insert generic. Well, actually, you still have DeRozan to trade. So let's say they get DeJounte Murray because you love DeJounte Murray.
Oh, now I'm in. Okay, now we're cooking.
So then we would have DeJounte Murray, Keon Ellis, Zach LaVine, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jonas Valanciunas, and then coming off the bench we would have Kyle Kuzma, and that's it for now. And Isaac Jones. Oh, I'm sorry. They would also still keep Devin Carter in this situation.
So here's the thing. I think I like the starting lineup for trade package 2 better than trade package 1.
DeJounte Murray, Keon Ellis, Zach LaVine.
Oh, my goodness.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, my goodness.
And big Vasuino Ansas.
I think I like that starting lineup. I think that lineup makes more sense, but I like the rotation of trade package 1 better.
Well, that makes sense because in trade package 1, you are giving up literally your entire future, but in trade package 2, you're kind of in the in-between. You're giving up some of the picks, but they would still have in that scenario the Spurs first rounder, one of their first rounders, and all of the Hornets seconds to still potentially make roster upgrades. So in the second one, you're not getting as much, but you still have more room to go even more all in than that insane situation would be.
Winston Smith says, think big. Allen, not bad. Could win it. I'm in too. Amid Rock says, no bench step. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. You ever have those friends? Hey, what are we doing once we get there? Right? You go to music festivals. Where are we staying? Oh, we'll just figure it out.
Would trading for Giannis convince Jake LaRavia to sign the biannual option?
Yes. You keep Jake the Legend or whatever nickname Kyle Draper has for him right now. You keep Jake.
Butter situation.
That is a butter situation, Jake. The Giannis.
Butter situation.
Giannis hitting the beam for 2 years. Come on, people. What are we actually talking about? 916 says, nope, that team with Giannis doesn't have enough three-point shooting. The first team doesn't. The second team does. The second team has a worse bench, but the second team, I believe, has enough three-point shooting if Kyle Kuzma remembers how to shoot a basketball.
Yeah, you would still have Kyle Kuzma, Keon Ellis, and Devin Carter. That's something.
Sacramento, you deserve this.
We really don't.
You do.
This is like the Lakers landing Luka. It would be like we've just messed everything up.
No, but it's not because, again, Laker fans, they have this they've been putting different players and cropping different players into Laker jerseys forever. Laker fans don't deserve anything. They deserve their childish coach, J.J. Redick, throwing temper tantrums. That's what they deserve, a first-round exit. Now get out of my face. Sacramento deserves this. Sacramento, the fans didn't do any of this. Sacramento, with what the league has done to them in the past, we know about those series back then and all the garbage from the refs. Sacramento deserves this.
I also, when we do these, make a list of other teams that would potentially be in on Giannis. I came up with 15.
I beg your pardon?
15 other teams would be able to create comparable trade packages.
That's not important right now. Okay? Do those teams have a beam?
They don't.
That's what I thought. 916-339-1140, 12 o'clock hour coming up next. Chris Watkins will join us in about 10 minutes. We're taking your calls. Am I crazy on the Giannis thing? Is there anybody that says, Allen, that's too much even for Giannis? We reread those packages for you, and also we discuss the point guard situation. Are we making too much of a big deal? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sweet spot. The new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat menu is here. And as the official treat of MLB, we're swinging big with our fan favorite S'mores Blizzard Treat. Plus, new mixing bowl mashup with brownie batter and chocolate chip cookie dough. And even more in our stacked summer lineup. Hurry in today because nothing says summer like baseball and our new Summer Blizzard Treat menu. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like two sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729 or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Catch all the action at Sky River Casino. Enjoy over 80 table games, more than 2,100 slot machines, and a thrilling high-limit room. Plus, with 18 elevated restaurants, bars, and lounge destinations, and Sky River rewards that add up and up. There's something for everyone. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun and experience new heights. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140.
Your home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and vocal.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Oh, yeah. Now, obviously, I had a big miss here as we're calling today a Big Fish Friday, as we're going big fish hunting for the free agents. I know. And we should have did. Look, I wanted to do Big Fish Friday, Fish Fry Friday, but so much conversation was happening with Giannis that I really wanted to talk about the Kings acquiring Giannis today. So I need your help now. Big Fish Thursday, it's just not rolling off the tongue to me because I have more, okay? Shams, what we talked about yesterday with the Celtics, literally this just came out about an hour or so ago. And we were talking yesterday about the Celtics and how it is unsustainable as we were looking at some of these sleepers, we have audio from Shams that we will get into, but I need your help because Big Fish Thursday is not working for me. Help me out with a better name.
Tilapia Thursday.
Get out. You know, tilapia is like a combination of different fish. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, I learned that. It is.
Sure.
Every tilapia you eat is different.
I don't know if I've ever eaten one tilapia.
Well, if you've eaten one, you haven't eaten another because they're all different.
What are some other fish that start with T?
Yeah, we need a TH. We need something. A Thoroughbred Thursday? Huh?
I don't like calling people horses.
Hey, yeah, I hear you. 916-339-1140. Pool Guy Mark wants to be a part of the conversation. Pool Guy Mark, you on the train with me? What's going on?
That second trade wasn't too bad. I just, man, if he was like 26 or something, I'd be like, all right. You know, the first one was just like, dude, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've always wanted to have like a homegrown kind of team. Like these trades usually don't work out. You know,
Pool
like,
Guy Mark, how much time do we have, brother? How much time do we have?
Well, this team's going to be around forever. I mean, they've been around for what 40 years or whatever, 1980. You know, I was there at their first practice, by the way. I was at American River College. I was a kid, and they showed up at the gym at American River College. And anyways, it was kind of funny to watch those guys in the first practice in Sacramento. I was just a little guy. Anyways, I've waited that long. I just, you know, to me, I feel like you always got to, for Sacramento, it's got to be through the draft. I know all these kids, they could be misses, but you know, he was a draft pick. All these guys that are in the NBA now are all draft picks. You know, I feel like that's Sacramento's best way to get there. You know, it might be the tough way. It might be the way that they've never really tried. But I hear it. I love the enthusiasm. The second trade wasn't too bad, especially if you keep most of your picks. You know, give away some of those other picks. I could be on board with that.
There you go. Pool Guy Mark says no to the first trade, yes to the second trade. I'm getting a couple calls in here for Big Tuna Thursday, but it's a ta and a tha. But that might be the best we get.
Trout Thursday.
It's the TH is ruining this.
Tigerfish Tuesday.
It's not Tuesday. 916-339-1140. Look, Pool Guy Mark, the draft, this is what we've been doing, though. And I know that a lot of people, I know Carmichael Dave is on the train that they've never super bottomed out. Right? What's up, Kyle?
All right, I found the name. I looked up on the Wikipedia list of fish that start.
I can hear you breathing on the mic. What it better be good.
Thorny Catfish Thursday.
And there goes your rights to talk for the rest of the show. A lot of people like the second. So here's the thing: you go with that second option. You're probably actually playing Jay Crowder in that season.
I don't know. Isaac Jones could still be around at that point.
Yeah, Hot Honey. A lot of Hot Honey Jones.
Yeah, I guess I'm doing the math in my head. There would be...
Trey Lyles will still be with us in that situation.
Is he going to sign for a vet minimum?
The elite. To play with Giannis in Sacramento? Hell yeah.
I don't know about that.
Chris Watkins just walked in at the when I say the perfect time, this is what I mean.
I think the only way they're going to be able to build out a roster is if Jake comes back on that biannual option.
And he will.
Other than that, they're going to have like 7 players on the team at the end of this.
Chris, look.
Yeah.
This is
what did I walk into?
You walked into a big.
What is happening?
Big Fish Thursday.
You walked into a Thorny Catfish Thursday.
Yeah, you walked into a Big Fish Thursday where, you know what? For just a couple minutes here, couple segments, we're believing that Giannis, and look, I'll tell you this much.
He's lost his mind.
There's a lot of Giannis got
long time ago.
Giannis got what, 3-4 kids, probably wants about 5 more. Plenty of parks in Sacramento.
He's got 3 to 4 brothers.
He can live in the toe right next to me. They could all live in the toe. They could buy Natomas.
They definitely could.
They could buy Natomas. You could be my landlord, Giannis. I don't have a problem with that. There's so many parks out here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, Kyle, for Chris who just walked in,
I'm so confused.
and all the callers that are just now listening, thinking exactly what Chris is thinking. Kyle, can you give us the 2 trade packages again for Giannis. And we know there's about 12 other teams that could probably beat it, but we're not doing that today.
No, we're not doing that.
I came up with 15.
Okay,
let's live in this bubble.
We're not doing that today.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Utah Jazz could beat our trade.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so
one more time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have the Hawks here. They've got better young players.
All
we're
right.
living in a bubble. Got it.
All
That's
right.
right.
So trade package 1 is the Bucks want to just tear this thing completely to the ground package.
Okay.
That is, the Kings get Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis.
Did Allen come up with this?
He did not.
Okay.
In return, the Milwaukee Bucks get Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray, Devin Carter, 6 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and 2 second-round picks.
And they're left with essentially Giannis, Bobby Portis, Sabonis, DeRozan placeholder.
Yeah. I think in this situation, DeRozan
Valanciunas,
probably stays.
Keon.
So yeah, it would be generic point guard, Keon, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis, Giannis, and then coming off the bench, you would have Malik, Bobby Portis, Jonas Valanciunas, and I guess Laravia.
And call that generic point guard Dennis Schroeder.
Have you been listening to the Drive, guys?
Of
Kyle
course,
Draper
of
has
course.
been all over Dennis Schroeder.
Okay.
Coming to the
Well, call him
coming to the
Tyus
Kings.
Jones.
Let's see here. That's interesting.
Wow.
It's not. It's better than what they are now, but I don't. It feels a little bit kind of like the Lakers this year, where it's just like it's a collection of players for sure. I don't know if it feels like you're a year away from figuring it out, but
the good news is
you're in the playoffs.
You are in the playoffs.
You would still have 1 Charlotte second-round pick to upgrade the roster with.
That's key information. That's tough. That's super tough.
All right.
And DeRozan, right? And then
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
you do with DeRozan.
All right, we got Chris on the
What's
hook.
the other one? Wait, you said
Yeah.
That was
number
the
2.
Bucks just want to tear this thing down, so
Okay.
they get Keegan Carter, a million picks.
Now reel him in, Kyle.
All right,
Reel him in.
so this is the Bucks still want
6
to win.
first-round picks is not saying it's not correct. It's just crazy to hear.
Yeah, and that would be all the Kings firsts, the Minnesota one, and the Spurs one.
Bleep them kids.
Good night.
Yeah. Anyways, so trade package 2 is the Bucks still want to get eliminated in the first round. Trade package.
What's that like?
The Kings would get Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kyle Kuzma.
Okay.
The Bucks would get Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, and 4 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps.
And what are we left with?
So in that one, we'd be left with DeRozan, and I guess DeRozan placeholder. So point guard they get for DeRozan.
DeJounte Murray.
Sure, call it DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray, Keon Ellis, Zach LaVine, Giannis, Valanciunas, and then off the bench you would have Kuzma, Devin Carter, and Isaac Jones.
When's the damn parade, Chris?
I think that's maybe more workable.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like I don't know how Sabonis and Giannis would play together. Like they would figure it out, but I don't know. It just I don't know. It seems a little clunky in my mind.
That's kind of my
It kind of broke my brain a little bit.
People keep talking about the 2 bigs thing. I'm like, yeah, 2 bigs where one is Steven Adams, not one is a point center and one is Giannis.
Yeah, because they kind of right. To your point, they kind of do the same thing offense. Or I mean, Giannis at his best is
they both have to have the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
The issue is with the
like
first.
LaVine and Giannis feel like they can play better.
That's what I'm saying. The starting lineup for trade package 2 is better than trade package 1, but trade package 1, your bench is you have a better rotation or more full rotation because you've given up less. You gave up more picks.
Yeah.
The trade package 2, you're playing Jay Crowder.
If it helps in trade package 2, you still have your 2026 first, the Spurs 2027 first, and the Hornets seconds to work with.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think I like option 2 better. Just mainly because I feel like offensively LaVine is a good I think additive to Giannis, just having somebody else who can create off the ball and all that. Defensively, obviously you still need some help, but I do think Valanciunas is a better big man pairing with Giannis than Sabonis is.
And I just put him in there. If you want to start Kuzma at the 4, you can.
Yeah, right, yeah. Or even maybe you can go huge and play him at the 3 and play Giannis and Jonas.
Now he
Why
sees
not?
the vision.
Yeah, Keon. I think Keon and DeJounte for this random hypothetical is a little repetitive, but
well, Keon can shoot. DeJounte shoots like
that's
29%
true, yeah.
from 3.
But DeJounte Murray's got like less athleticism than De'Aaron Fox.
Okay, we'll see. His Achilles is healing.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, if I like the premise of trying to trade for Giannis. Like, I think he's one of. Well, you would have thought Luka is one of those players, but I guess that's no longer like a hypothetical exercise anymore. Yeah, I think Giannis is one of those players for sure. Where you just, I mean, there's a reason why I think this is, rumored for OKC to be one of the people that they're like, we have collected all of these picks. We literally can have a brand new team if we just keep our picks for the next 3 years. We'll just trade all that in for like, this is the kind of player that you make that all in kind of bid for. And if you're the Kings, like whatever you have, I know we say like, yeah, Utah can beat that offer. Doesn't mean they will. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that maybe, like you said, like whatever, maybe the Bucks have a fascination with trying to compete instead of a hypothetical blow up. So, I think you have to at least try and throw your name into a race like that. And that's, I guess, ideally what Scott Perry is here to do, right? With all your connections, can we at least get in one of like the 4 teams mentioned in the Giannis trade, right? Like
That's
there's
right.
always
Can we get on the Bovada?
That's all we need.
Odds?
That's like, I think that is a step in the right direction. And, again, it doesn't mean that you have to actually execute the trade, but I think you should definitely, if you're not calling the phone of Milwaukee, trying to get Giannis, like you're not doing your job.
What the hell do you have to lose?
Right.
In fairness to Chris's point, of the 15 teams I came up with better trade packages than the Kings.
That's half the league.
Yes. Like 5 of them probably would not go after Giannis at this point. Like, I don't think Indiana's going to blow this thing up to try and get Giannis.
The Rockets need shooting. They don't need Giannis. The Thunder, they don't need Giannis. They need nothing.
The Spurs need to get rid of their picks. That is
they
one
have
thing
to.
that is kind of necessary.
Come on.
Yeah, my kind of takeaway
from the Spurs thing did scare me. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there is. I don't know how credible. Or I think it was Jake Fisher actually who said that the Spurs are going to try and go all in. That's a little scary.
That would be crazy.
But Stephon Castle's still untouchable.
Yeah, I think. I think for Giannis, he definitely would be very tough.
How annoying would that be if they get the Kings pick swap in 2031?
At least at the look. I don't care about the Spurs. I don't care about any other team.
Warriors.
Excuse me?
Warriors, Jimmy Butler, Kuminga, Podziemski.
Look, they're teams, They're NBA teams that want Giannis.
It really depends. It honestly does depend on what the Bucks want. Like that is,
and the
that's
Warriors.
The I mean, if Nico taught us anything, Nico Harrison taught us anything. It's whatever I want is what we're gonna get. Like you could throw whatever you want at me, but whatever I want is what we're gonna take.
I've never seen better parks in any city.
I'm sorry?
In America that I've ever visited. I visited a lot of states. Sacramento, the best parks.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to throw Milwaukee a shout. Okay. No, I agree.
And he got kids.
Lamb Park, great park.
Great park.
Curtis Park, great park.
Everywhere you
Those
go.
are kind of same area.
It's a good park.
McKinley Park,
He's
beautiful.
a family man.
Yeah.
Who wants to be a bigger family man.
Oak Park.
Yeah.
You do that in
Oak
Sacramento.
Park, sure. Yeah.
Who's the legend out there who leaves a legacy bringing a championship to Milwaukee and Sacramento? Who does that?
I think
Giannis
Oscar Robertson tried to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he
Oscar Robertson got to the.
No, I don't think he was part of Rochester.
Yeah.
You know what
he
I heard
was
the other
Cincinnati.
day? I was watching the Celtic City documentary on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
You know that the Rochester Royals passed on Bill Russell?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
For who?
Not Bill Russell.
I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And it just made me think very much of like, the Luka trade or Luka not drafted and everything. It's just like, a little bit like it's just kind of
So we've
kind of baked in.
We've got Purvis Ellison, Bill Russell, and Marvin Bagley.
And it all gets erased with one Greek man's dunk. Well, Chris.
This was not what I was expecting.
Well, you never know on a Big Fish Thursday.
That's right.
Chris Watkins joins us, and when we return, we go back to reality. How's Chris feeling about Doug Christie? Was this all just a sham, or did we play the game the correct way? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Folsom Mike says, get Giannis and trade Sabonis for KD. I think Giannis might be gone already, but I like where your head's at, Folsom Mike.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss what Shams dropped as far as the Celtics, and this is what we talked about yesterday. Celtics get sold, a lot of money on those books. Somebody going to be available. Kyle and I can argue about whether that's going to be Derek White or Drew Holiday. Somebody that would be somebody that is one of the best players on the Kings right now is going to be available. So who believes that what they are worth on the Celtics is what they will be worth on whatever team they go to that's not as good as the Celtics? But we go back to the Doug Christie situation. Chris, I know that you're doing a lot of great work on our social media channels, so I'm sure you are kind of well-versed in not just how I feel, but how everybody feels about it. Where did you fall in terms of, I feel like outrage is a term that is maybe too strong, but everyone's so upset, the lack of process. Yeah. It's not that I wasn't upset about it. I just knew there wasn't going to be a process. I thought we all knew that Scott Perry was, and some people are just mad at the idea of it.
Right.
But I thought we all knew that Scott Perry probably took this job knowing that Doug was going to be the head coach. And maybe we sat there after the presser and kind of felt, hey, I mean, Scott Perry did a great job of convincing us that maybe that's not the case.
Right.
And then Brenden said, don't get duped. It is the case, and it was the case, and people are very upset about it.
Yeah, I would, to your point of me listening to all the shows, like Sam Amick was on this morning. I would definitely recommend listening to that. I don't know if you're going to play it again, but really good stuff in there. And he pretty much said that from his understanding, talking, I think he essentially hinted at talking to coaching agents out there, like they were under the impression that the job was not open. And so that to me obviously flat out says, like, Scott Perry saying that his phone was blowing up might be true, but I don't think
he wasn't
really
he wasn't answering.
Yeah. I mean, it was, hey, we'll schedule a meeting next week maybe. And, knowing that,
it's kind of a bad look.
Yeah. And I do think that something we've learned is that the agent part of this is really big in just making transactions in the NBA. And, I just wonder how much of this isn't a good look for the Kings in them trying to, make themselves available to every agency out there. And I think, again, I'll be the 100th person to say that Doug Christie's great. Love Doug. Every personal interaction I've had has been fantastic and so happy for him to get the job. But I think it just kind of falls towards where it feels sour to me is it leans towards like the Vlade hiring where I think, again, Sam said it perfectly this morning. If 29 other teams probably wouldn't offer you the position that you just got, then that kind of says it all. Like that tells me that like JJ Redick was still getting coaching interviews, right? Like other teams were still interested in JJ Redick's services. It didn't matter that he was a podcaster. It didn't matter that you and I might have not thought that it was going to work out. Like he was a legitimate candidate to be an NBA head coach. Like Vlade Divac was not getting hired as a GM from any other team. I don't think Doug Christie was going to be like Chauncey Billups is not the Detroit Pistons head coach.
Right.
He's the Portland Trail Blazers head coach. He has no history with the Blazers. Yeah. The Blazers thought he was a good basketball. And this isn't to discredit Doug in any way, but it's just, if I'm going to have questions about why this might not work out versus why it might work out, the reasons why I don't think it's going to work out are because this is so irregular from how things are typically done. And to use the Vlade example, like, again, to bring up Luka, like that's how you mess up those kind of decisions, because maybe Vlade did have a personal thing with Luka or whatever, but I really do think, Nico Harrison aside, a lot of GMs would have said, this kid has potential. Just even if I'm thinking GM,
he
like
was
long term,
his daddy a month ago.
Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started on that. But like, you would have maybe seen, if you aren't somebody like Vlade Divac who has a personal relationship, maybe you would have said, well, this kid has a chance to grow our international brand. Forget if he's good for his first year. Like, we can make so much money just off of him being the pride of the international world, like the Kings kind of were in the early 2000s. And again, it made all the sense in the world to draft Luka. But I'm more just saying, using that as an example to say, like, I feel like that's where things could get messed up here. Is not saying Doug hasn't put in his time, not saying Doug might not be might be the best person for the job. It's just the process hasn't been the right one. And that's why specifically with Doug, it just feels like it might not go well, because I feel like other people would have seen things. Like, Doug is a well-known person in the league, and it's, again, not to discredit him at all. It's more just nobody else is offering him that job, and I think that should be looked at.
Yeah, no, you look around the league, and most of the time a coach chooses, right? Doug probably would have chosen the Kings, but there also weren't going to be any other options. Right. Nobody was trying to pluck. He had no leverage. Yeah, he had no leverage, besides the fact that Vivek really likes him, and that's just what it's always been. I will say, though, to compare, because I do like to try to look at the other organizations and what they're doing based compared to how Sacramento is viewed. So let's. I think Adelman, right? David Adelman with the Nuggets. Yeah. I do believe that he would have gotten some interviews this go. He's
gotten plenty of interviews in his past. As well. Yeah, he
would. And I don't know if we're considering the Grizzlies a good organization or not, but they're high on this guy, Isalo. Yeah. He's like the Kyle Shanahan of basketball or whatever it is, or the Sean McVay. Feels like they're going to hire him. Yeah. That to me is kind of, besides the Sacramento ties, but
for sure.
We've pegged this guy as the next dude. And we think we found a sleeper that nobody else has found before. So Vivek could kind of say that's how I feel about Doug, but I don't know if you could sell that.
To further that example, like, what are the Grizzlies rumored to do this summer? Trade their star player. So like, to your question of like, is that a good organization? Right. It does seem like they're on the same or similar trajectory as what the Kings are doing. And do we from the outside feel confident in the Grizzlies in the next 5 years if they trade John Morant and hire this new coach and are hitting some sort of a reset button? Like, I don't think so. I mean, I guess the difference might be we'll see what they get for John Morant, right? Like, they might actually get some useful first-round picks or something that you can actually build around. But, I don't really know where we got started on all this, but it does feel like that's where I think the process of all this, I think that's where people get upset. It's just it doesn't feel legitimate. And I think, again, to quote Sam, like he said, it's very Kings. Like, it's the Kings. It's just what they do. And I think that's the problem is they continue to try and make you feel good about the situation. And instead of, actually trying to get the even if Doug ends up being the right person, like just doing the process and making it seem as if you at least tried.
Brenden Nunes is going to join us. You hang around.
Is he really? Yeah,
yes,
sure.
He's going to join us on StreamYard when we return. Brenden joins us. Chris is still rocking with us. What does Brenden think about the Doug situation, and what players should the Kings be targeting besides Giannis, of course? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
The Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter, right to your email. Get your latest on the Sacramento Kings, UC Davis, and Sac State with the Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter. Visit sacktownsports.com to join.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, when the A's beat the Rangers in Arlington to kick off the most recent road trip, with J.P. Sears getting his fourth win, the A's improved to 15-14, the latest in a season they've been over 500 since 2021. Can they contend this year? Well, as we close the book on April, the American League West is the tightest division in baseball. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
Making an Impact, sponsored by Granger. Gen Space is an LA-based senior center unlike any other. 85-year-old founder Wallace Annenberg knew how much it was needed.
I was going to do something that specialized, certainly, in an older generation that would be interested in coming together like this.
For the ones who get it done, Granger offers professional-grade supplies and solutions, made for every industry and backed by product experts. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by.
This is Jill Schlesinger. May is Military Appreciation Month, and I know how much I appreciate the military. I married into a military family. I hear from so many members of the military, and Navy Federal Credit Union wants us to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or part of a military family, you're eligible to join. At Navy Federal Credit Union, the members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge. Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Sky River Casino, Hop Valley Brewing, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Find out more at CITPFest.com. Disturbed. Live. Oh, wow. Get up, come on, get down with the 25th anniversary of the 5-time platinum album, The Sickness. 2 sets, 1 show, The Sickness in its entirety, and greatest hits with special guests, Daughtry, and Nothing More. Friday, May 9th, Golden One Center. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Disturbed. Live.
I'll let Brenden tell it.
Oh,
It's not like that
Not
reason
today.
at the All-Star
Not
break.
today,
Just pushing
but
it.
he'll tell it eventually. Shout out Brenden Nunes, who will be joining us. Chris Watkins with us as well. And let's just get into this, Kyle, while we're waiting for Brenden. Let's play that Sham sound. Chris and I were walking to grab some water, and Chris is kind of on your side, Kyle, with who the Kings will probably get. And I'm just refusing to believe that. And here is Shams on what the Celtics have up their sleeve, whether they win the whole thing or not.
Right now, Boston is fully focused on winning a championship. Like, that is the number one focus, repeating. But I can tell you, the rest of the league is bracing for some level of change to come to the Celtics from their roster this offseason. And, sources have been telling me for weeks now that the Celtics will be exploring trade options in the offseason. This team, this iteration just is not going to be sustainable for this team. And no one around the organization, from players to staffers, would be surprised if there are changes coming to this roster. Because when you think about the new collective bargaining agreement, there's restrictions that come with trades. There's restrictions that come with freezing of draft picks. That's all stuff that they're dealing with right now. They have 5 players right now scheduled to make $28 million or more next season. That's a league record. So they would have a salary bill of $500 million. That would be a league history amount.
Huh. So you and Kyle, and I'm looking here at their salaries. So it's Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, and Derek White. I'm sorry. I can't pay Drew Holiday $30 million.
yeah, that's what I was thinking with a lot of those guys. Like, that's
Because you and Kyle think that Drew Holiday might find his way to Sacramento.
I think he makes more sense as the person that the Celtics would look to move off of.
Yeah, I can't believe they gave him that contract extension that they did. He's
how old is he?
34.
Oh,
at age 37.
37.
He's going to get paid $37 million.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Who's going to take that? They got to give a pickup?
No, I mean, he's good right now.
Yeah. It feels very Mike Conley-esque to me, where it's like, you might feel good about, you might still be able to get something out of him this year, but by the time he's like 37, it feels like you're going to be praying that he hits a corner 3 for you, or else he's not really doing much.
I mean,
give him vet leadership. And
look, this is I
just don't think the Kings are in the right position for it.
No, so, I will say
he
this,
makes maybe more sense for like a Minnesota.
Do the Celtics want DeRozan?
I will say this. I'm looking at this roster, and we talked about the bigs. And look,
Porzingis, yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. They're paying him to play like 15 games a year.
It depends what you're giving up. I think like it's a fine swing, but I wouldn't trust him to play games.
You also say that as if the Warriors aren't doing the same thing with Draymond. They're just like, get to the playoffs healthy and you're good.
Draymond plays more than Porzingis.
No, but they don't care about regular season. They just need Porzingis to play in the playoffs the same way Draymond does.
I'm more just saying the Kings. Again, I don't think the Kings are in a position like that. I don't think that they can afford to not. I mean, Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are out here playing like 82 games, and the Kings are scrapping for 48 wins, 46 wins.
Right.
Like if they have one of their star players, one of their players that isn't being paid, or is being paid $28 million, like they have to have that player play. At least that's how they've been playing these past couple of years, is if the stars don't play, I don't trust them to win.
Right. With the Celtics, hey, Porzingis, we don't need you. So when you are available, let's rock and roll.
Exactly.
With the Kings, yeah, we're just saving him. And the Warriors almost tricked it off, and they were in the play-in, but they found one of the best paths through the play-in because they got to play the Rockets. But yeah, that could have kind of screwed them over too. But with Porzingis, if we're paying $30 million for the Celtics and $30 million for the Kings, are two completely different things. Yeah. So if you're going to play 30 games at $30 million. Yeah, we're probably a 10 seed. So at least come on down, and we can be the second 10 seed to make it to the playoffs.
Porzingis only has 1 year left on his deal after this one.
I would just wait. I would just wait it out, and I don't know what his value is, but maybe you can get him after that.
Derek White feels like a player that needs to be on a good team too. I mean, that's the problem with all those Celtics contracts, is they feel like they all need to be on a team that is contending, or else they're not they're just not living up to that value. Like they're just not going to be your best players in a traditional sense.
Yeah. So that's the report. And it's so funny that this stuff is all coming out during the playoffs. Yeah, it's one thing.
It's gotta be weird.
Right. It's one thing when you are discussing a team like the Rockets, who we knew the Rockets, we keep saying the joke, I'm sure you saw it, Chris. The Rockets play like they're missing their best player. That's how they play.
That is really funny.
At all times. At all times. So we knew that's where they were headed. The Celtics, it felt, okay, and this is what the new CBA thing is, blame CJ McCollum and Grant Williams. You can't make a dynasty. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. And they tried.
No, you can. You just have to do it differently than you did before.
You have to keep hitting. On young talent is how you have to do
OKC just did it, right?
They haven't won a thing.
No, I'm saying, but they're positioned for the next 5 years, even with the CBA, to be fine.
Sure.
They are positioned. They are best positioned.
They
But
better
also
win now.
Yeah. They also have been uniquely positioned. They've been getting ready for this, not necessarily this exact moment, but they've been gearing up for this for like 10 years at this point.
And the SGA thing, that is
they stumbled into that.
That's
for
the
sure,
randomness.
I mean,
that's the randomness of it.
Yeah.
Sure, but that was the same thing. Like in the CBA in 2012, it was like, oh, everyone's coming after the Lakers. There's never going to be a super team again. And then the Warriors fell into Steph Curry and Draymond in the second round, and look what happened.
Yeah, and when the Kings fall into Cooper Flag or whoever it is, then we're talking. You get that pick, and then you just go 1v1 and Zach LaVine for Giannis. Would you do that?
The first pick in the draft,
you get the
and
first
Zach
pick.
LaVine for Giannis.
Yes.
I mean, you probably just take Cooper Flag. I think that's just more. I mean, yeah. I think the Kings again just aren't in the right position. Like I just don't feel like they are. Maybe if they had a bunch of young players and can kind of start to build something around and throw a ton of money out there, but they feel like they're kind of hamstrung. And if they were to make a big swing for Giannis, like it kind of has to be for the pieces that they have.
How do you think this whole situation, now that Doug is in place, and we were talking about some assistant coaches, and we'll circle back when Brenden hops on after this quick break, but how do you think the actual practice of Scott Perry saying, I'm going to talk with the players, how is that? What is the reality of that? Because I'm thinking you're just going to be kicking it at shoot around, and or are they all going to have a meeting with you like us and our boss? How does that even
It's probably on Zoom, and I mainly say that because I guess that everybody's out of town at this point. I saw Zach LaVine. I don't know if you did. Zach LaVine golfing with Devontae Adams yesterday.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
what's the connection there? What am I missing?
I mean, Zach said he was a Raider fan. I was thinking maybe that.
He's perfect in Sacramento.
Yeah. But anyways, I would guess that it's through Zoom, and it probably starts with like, how do you feel last season went? Yeah. Okay. What, I mean, to answer your question, it is probably very similar to like a meeting with your boss. It's just, how have you felt like the past 6 months have gone? Okay. What do you need help with in the future? What are your goals for the future? Do you see yourself here in the future? Is there anything you think that we could do to better your situation? Like, I think it's kind of just as simple as that. And you get everyone's gauge on what their goals are, what they feel like they want from this franchise. And if it aligns with, I mean, to Scott Perry's words, like, if it aligns with the kind of players that he wants and the mentality he wants, I think that's kind of what those meetings are about, is just kind of a general sense of like, do you want to be here? I mean, realistically, I think, do you want to be here? And if so, like, what can you give me? Because, again, like when you're on the ground floor, like you can tell people things that maybe you don't see from the outside. Like, I think that's more what he's looking for.
And obviously the leverage will come into play there if, certain people can say, I want out, and certain people like, I love it. No, I love it here. I think Sacramento's, it's got the parks. It's still got the parks. Right. Brenden Nunes joins us on the other side. What does Brenden think is going to happen with the assistant coach situation? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. even though regular you burns easily. In fact, vacation you burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist because vacation you doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40, and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
River Cats baseball is back, and the Cats Pass is your ticket to every home game of the 2025 season. With unbeatable value, guest add-ons, and more, secure your season-long Cats Pass with the Sacramento River Cats at rivercats.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
On Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles here with Chris Watkins. Brenden Nunes is going to join us at some point today.
Maybe.
And Chris, we had a whole list that we went through with the assistant coaches and coaches that are running around right now. Lindsey Harding, Bobby Jackson, Darvin Ham, Dave Yeager, Karan Butler, Jason Terry, Terry Stotts, Scott Brooks, David Fizdale, Jeff Van Gundy. If you were to boil some of those down, and then you got Frank Vogel, obviously, and Mike Budenholzer, who just got off the horse. I would say that the Lindsey Harding situation, I don't know that the Lakers, if she would want to leave the Lakers yet, right? I think it's a good situation for her.
Definitely.
Bobby Jackson's interesting.
Definitely, I would expect him to come over.
Okay, you think, and why would you say it like that?
I mean, they were teammates. Bobby was here for a very long time. I think the only reason why Bobby left, just assuming, is because he didn't see much growth pattern for him, and so I think that it just makes a ton of sense. Like, I think Doug especially needs people he can trust, and Bobby is kind of an extension of like the Feel Good Kings thing, and I don't see, Bobby's with Nick Nurse in Philadelphia. I don't think there's much stability with that. It just kind of makes a ton of sense.
Wow. Okay. And then some of the other guys.
The other guys, I will be honest, don't really make much. There's not really a connection. I think that's the problem, is like Doug is presumably going to be selecting all these people. I would expect it's going to be people that he's probably crossed paths with.
The names that we brought up, a lot of them were former NBA head coaches, because the idea was, let's do the JJ Redick thing and get you around NBA head coaches. And if you're choosing between connection head coach or connection and former head coach. No, we're not going to hit on all that. So it sounds like to you, and I don't know if it's Doug's decision or not.
Like a guy like Elston Turner would be where I would look.
I've seen that name pop up as well.
He's a name that's got a lot of Sacramento history. I feel like he was around.
So that's a prerequisite here.
Well, I just think it makes the most sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, Doug Christie hasn't been on coaching staffs across the league. Like, he doesn't have, from what we see from the outside, like, it doesn't seem like he would have a lot of, connections with guys who have been on G League staffs across the league and stuff like that. Like, more than likely, he's going to hire people that he has close personal relationships with. And Doug has been in Sacramento the past 10 years. I think we know who he is connected to.
Okay, let's hold it there. Let's bring Brenden Nunes in on the conversation. Brenden Nunes, always running around, doing great work. Brenden, let's piggyback off what Chris was saying. We're talking assistant coaches for Doug. Based on how Temper Tantrum Man JJ Redick hired his coaching staff and the conversation of getting other NBA head coaches, is that solely Doug's decision, or did JJ say, I want Lindsey Harding, I want this person and that person, I want former NBA coaches? Or was there a level of, hey, JJ, we think you should take some former NBA head coaches, we think you should do this, that? Does Doug get this is word that we keep saying in Sacramento, does Doug get full autonomy? And clearly Mike Brown didn't, which is how Doug got on the coaching staff. Will somebody step in and could Scott Perry say, hey, my guy David Fizdale, I think it would be good. I would suggest, when people suggest something, but they're really telling you, I would strongly suggest that you add David Fizdale to the team. How much autonomy do you think Doug will have?
It's like when people say no offense right before they tell you something, and what they say is about to be offensive. I think that it's a partnership between Doug and Scott Perry, and there's only so many agents that cover the head coaches in the league. And Doug obviously is under one of them. And there's a handful of guys, Scott Perry, known for his relationships. I think it will be a, cooperative process, but I think that that's a fair way to do it. While I do have questions about how Doug may have gotten to the head coaching position himself, I think the way that they'll fill out, I think this applies to both the front office staff and the head coaching staff, will sort of be a dual process where both guys are involved. And Doug has good relationships with guys around the league, whether that be from his playing years. I think Bobby Jackson, like Chris just mentioned, is a great shout. I think that everything points towards Bobby probably being part of the staff, which honestly, I roll my eyes a little bit at, like, we're just bringing back all the dudes from 01, the heyday stuff, like we just tried this with Vlade. And I do have my questions of, are we doing this because we think these dudes are going to be given a little bit more leeway from the fan base because everybody loves them? But at the same time, you can't question Doug's intentions in all this. I think that Doug, more than anybody, wants this team to be successful. And I think that he has good relationships throughout the league, as does Scott Perry, and that those will play hand in hand as they try to figure out this coaching staff. So I think that it will be both, but I think that Doug will, for the most part, get a say in what's going on here and probably try to fill it out himself for the most part, while also, communicating with Perry of, hey, do you think I should do this or not? And vice versa.
That's interesting. Yeah. And again, I don't necessarily know how JJ Redick cooked up his, but there was a level of, at least Doug has been an assistant. I mean, JJ was a podcast host, and he was on First Take. So maybe it was easier for JJ to say at the time, hey, I know this is what I need. Doug might feel it's not as like I coached over 50 games this past season in a ridiculous situation. I feel like I can handle this season, and I don't need 8,000 and former NBA head coaches to kind of help me through. But the other thing is, and this goes to both of you, any idea when we'll start to see? I know the press conference is tomorrow, which we will have here on the station, but any idea when we'll start seeing some of those slots get filled and some names come out, or even just names get thrown around?
I would guess that we probably hear maybe it's going to be one of the first couple questions asked, if not the first question asked.
Right.
I would guess that he probably says one or two people staying, if any are staying, but I would imagine, a handful of people are staying, but I would guess as soon as next week. Like, it kind of does end up trickling out. Like, it doesn't make, Shams usually isn't going to tweet it out. It'll usually be kind of lower source stuff, but I would expect as soon as next week for sure we start hearing at least a couple names.
Yeah. As we get back to the roster and that construction, Brenden, based on what you've heard lately, where is this thing going to go as far as Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan? Does keeping Doug mean that we're not going to get a random Shams tweet in August that says Domantas Sabonis is meeting with brass? Because if nothing comes of it, right, I feel like it only gets talked about if Shams knows that it ain't going to go in the right direction, right? So do you think we still hear something from Shams in a couple months, or did keeping Doug essentially lock down Sabonis?
I'll say that I wouldn't be surprised if we got that Shams tweet.
This guy always has something.
You gotta play the game a little bit. But I think it's interesting the way this whole year played out, as we are all very well aware of. And there's an aspect of, Domas is the same way that we are talking about this, fellas, and what the hell happened this past season. Like, Domas is going to look at the same thing, And so I feel like any player that I hear talking about, hey, I want to see the direction that this franchise is going in, to be honest, more often than not, they haven't pointed in the greatest direction. And so I, think that eventually it wouldn't surprise me, again, if we reach a point where these guys are like, what are we really doing here? And I don't think that I'll say that I don't think that Doug Christie getting the job, I certainly don't think that Doug Christie getting the job means that Domantas Sabonis is staying here long term. Like, wow. It's not, there's a lot of this, like, Doug Christie is Domas's guy, and while he was assigned to him, I don't think, Jake LaRavia came out and said, I would love if Doug Christie got this job. Mm-hmm. Domas was asked about Doug Christie. He was not as, like, black and white in that aspect, is all I will say. That doesn't mean, I'm not trying to say that Domas does not like Doug or anything like that, but if you are adamant that you love this dude, you want this guy to be this head coach, and you're also, by the way, Domas I'm talking about the player that's coming out and saying, hey, I think the guys that have been here for a little while should have a say in this, then you're going to come out and say, hey, I love Doug Christie. And he didn't do that. So I think there is something to that. That doesn't mean he does not like Doug. That doesn't mean there's strong feelings in the other direction, but I just think it's something to note. And I think that Domas still has, or could still have, valid questions about the direction of this franchise, whether that means that Doug is the head coach or not.
Chris, on the flip side now, when it comes to the Kings, should they be, and we know they don't have a problem moving their core pieces, but should they be as open to that? Should they leave that conversation if Domas says, I don't really like what y'all have been on? Should they say, okay, all right, let's see how we can figure this thing out? Or should they be, oh no, please, we're begging you to stay? Should they be willing to look at a future without Domantas Sabonis and try to do it the right way this time?
Yeah, to add some fuel to the fire too, Sam did mention this morning kind of what Brenden is saying is that, like, Sabonis, from what he understands, to the point of, like, he's wondering what's going on, like, second half of the season was not very involved. I looked up his post All-Star game stats, and granted, we know he was in and out with injury, but 15.4 points per game, 11.8 rebounds, 5.5 assists. That's not, like, that is him being incredibly less than 55% for the field. So it's not
especially
like
those assist
he shot
numbers.
way less. Yeah, right. And looking at the assists, DeMar DeRozan averaged more assists, 5.7. Malik was just under him, 4.8. Like, it was other guys. Zach LaVine, you can even throw in 3.5 assists. Like, it was other guys with the ball in their hand. And me and Kyle were talking earlier, like, Giannis needs the ball in his hand just like Sabonis does. Like, I think it's maybe something that Sabonis is going to look at is how Doug utilized him. And, again, yeah, like Brenden said, not saying that there's not a good relationship, but maybe he is just a little perplexed as to what happened in the second half of the season with their relationship. And yeah, the Kings should definitely explore, I would say. I mean, I've been on record saying that the Kings, for me, next season, I don't think good should be the goal. Like, I don't know what their ceiling is, but to me, I would much rather see them try and get 36 wins with Jake LaRavia and Devin Carter and Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray and try and scrap and have a young team that is defensive minded, like the type of team Scott Perry was describing. To me, that's a much better long-term outcome than them trying to get out of this play-in first round exit situation. Like, I just don't see, to me, it's a harder path to get to second round conference finals than for them to maybe hit the reset button only to try and get back to that, if that makes sense.
And going back to quote the great Boogie Cousins, it felt like they didn't know what to do once they finally got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when your goal is just the first round,
right,
that makes a lot of sense, because your gool should be a championship. And Whitey even mentioned that Scott Perry never said the word championship during his presser.
Sustainable success.
A platform of sustainable success.
What does success mean?
I think we know what it's supposed to mean.
Fluid term.
That's right. That's right. He's Chris Watkins. That's Brenden Nunes. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Great stuff. Let's get the band back together. I know not Frankie, but let's get the band back together in studio. And Brenden, we're going to hear about all the stuff you've been up to, aren't we?
Eventually. By the way, if you need me around, I know I joined late. I could join you for the next segment, not to just overtake what you got going on. But if you need me, I'm here.
I'm going to leave.
Okay.
You guys have fun.
No,
Chris is out of here.
Yeah.
Chris gave his time. Thank you, Chris. All right, Brenden, hang around. We got
You're
the 1
looking
o'clock.
for volunteers, not prisoners.
Right.
That's
not
right.
prisoners.
And I'm mailing a mirror to Brenden right now. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Worried about your battery and the heat? We get it. You don't want to get stranded somewhere with a car that feels like an oven. We've got you covered at AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Our free battery testing and charging service can help. And if you need a battery, we'll help you find a new one. No problem. Power through with free battery testing and charging at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729. Or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Rock the Bells presents LL Cool J.
So what you got Chanel on your feet? Hot sex on a platter makes the mission complete.
Live in concert. LL Cool J. Saturday, May 10th, the venue at Thunder Valley with DJ Z-Trip. LL Cool J. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss LL Cool J live.
It's Carmichael Dave talking to you about my good friends at American Energy. You're in the Sacramento area. You know how the seasons work. They are a-changing right now. So American Energy wants to help you stay warm for the rest of the cold season, but help you stay cool during the warm season. Best way to do that, make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of half off a tune-up, $24.50. They cut that right in half, and if you want a diagnostic, guess what? You can't beat free. If it's free, it's me, and now it can be you. And also, it's the end of the season blowout. $4,000 off a new system plus any rebates. That $4,000, that's a direct drop from the sticker price. It's a great deal. check them out at theaeway.com or an instant quote, or give them a call at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sacramento, get ready. The Sacktown Sports Live events calendar is packed with epic shows you won't want to miss. Classic rock bands, America takes the stage at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on May 9th. Then hip-hop legend LL Cool J brings the beats to Thunder Valley on May 10th. The Outlaw Music Festival rolls into Toyota Amphitheater on May 18th. And punk pioneers The Dam hit Ace of Spades on May 31st. June heats up with JJ Gray and Mofro at Ace of Spades on June 10th. Plus, country superstars Lee Brice and Walker Hayes at Ironstone Amphitheater on June 21st. Then it's 3 days of country fun at the Country Summer Music Festival at Sonoma County Fairgrounds on June 27th through the 29th. Get your boots ready for the Folsom Pro Rodeo July 3rd through 5th. Then catch Cody Johnson at Golden One Center on July 18th and Parker McCollum at Ironstone Amphitheater on August 16th. Mark your calendars, grab your tickets, and don't miss out. Find all the details at sacktownsports.com.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
1 o'clock hour. Brenden Nunes is hanging with us for another segment. Thanks to Chris Watkins. Be sure to follow him on social media. All the great work he's doing on his own social media and also for Sacktown Sports. Brenden, your thoughts on how everything went down with Scott Perry, that initial presser, the Doug Christie situation. Actually, you had a pretty spicy tweet that day when everything came out, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was the idea of, I find it hard to believe that that Scott Perry came to this conclusion on his own. So let me ask you this. If you had a wish list of coaches and coaches that you believe maybe Scott Perry had a connection to and maybe would have been interested in the job, how high or how many names would have been ahead of Doug Christie on that wish list?
Shoot, I feel like it's a lot of names. I don't have specific names off the top of my head, but I mean, I think that you can't question how much Doug Christie wants this organization unselfishly to be successful, right? So this is not a knock on Doug. It's not meant to be that at all. It's just more of the facts that Doug is not that experienced as a head coach. Like, the next step in this process that we're all talking about, like we just were with Bobby Jackson assistant, that's not quite in this category, but like Mike Woodson has been mentioned by my guys, James Ham and Sean Cunningham a little bit. Like, the fact that we're saying we need experienced head coaches is only because we have an inexperienced head coach.
Yeah.
You know, and so I question the process a little bit. Like, Doug Christie was part of Luke Walton's staff, and then he was part of Mike Brown's staff, and now he's the head coach. And to me, that's a little questionable about like just the process of all of this and how it happened. And, you know, people got on me a lot for that tweet. And
I saw.
Yeah, they definitely did. So it's not to say that Doug can't do a good job. I think he could. I think Doug would be a great rebuilding coach. But I also think the reality of this team is that they want to win right now. And I'm not sure that, in my mind, you want to win right now, then go get an experienced coach that has won before.
Yeah.
And Doug is not that guy, to be blunt. So again, I think that he can do a good job in this role. He wants this city, this team to succeed unselfishly more than probably anybody else that you could hire in this role. But that doesn't mean that you're the right guy necessarily.
When it comes to, I guess, some of the retread coaches, and when you bring up winning, I do think some of them get marred a bit by what happens after that success, right? Or the success that they've had. To me, everybody likes the up and comer, right? Or everybody wants to feel like I found the next big thing. So if I were to say that Frank Vogel or Mike Budenholzer was interested, you would have them. Oh, I'm assuming you would have them over Doug Christie. Whereas me, I feel, and maybe it's unfair, but these guys are two champions, but they've gotten canned a couple times since then. I don't know if I want to go in that route. Where would you have been with guys like that, where they've won at the highest level, but their last stops haven't been very impressive?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I value experience a lot when it comes to this. And honestly, I'm hearing Scott Perry talk about how we need length, athleticism, we need a defensive orientation on this team. And I'm like, this sounds like Mike Brown.
It does.
You know,
It does.
like I think that they would have been very much aligned. Not that he and Mike and Monty were not. But I think that there are experienced coaches that would make a lot of sense. And if it were fully up to me, I think that this team should reset and that Doug would be the perfect coach for this team. But I don't think that's where they're at. I think they want to remain competitive. And I think it's a little counterproductive to hire a head coach that hasn't really been in this seat. I don't know what to make of the job that Doug Christie did this last year. It's extremely difficult to evaluate. He dealt with probably 3 different rosters.
Yeah.
There's Doug and De'Aaron. There's the phase after where like Zach is kind of part of the team, and then Jonas and Jake LaRavia are added to the team. And so he dealt with multiple iterations, and I don't know what to make of the people that are like, oh, he did a good job. Like, I don't know how to evaluate the job that Doug Christie did at all this year. And you can point to a Mike Budenholzer championship. You can point to a Doc Rivers championship. And while those guys have their questions, do not get me wrong.
Right.
The same conversation we're having right now with Doug Christie of make sure you hire the right assistants, you can have that same conversation with these other dudes that have been in those seats before. And hey, we need other experienced guys around them, you know? So I tend to find it a little counterproductive to say, well, they're not saying this, but everything is pointing towards it, that, hey, we want to win right now, but we're going to hire a head coach that is not been a head coach before.
Yeah. Talking to Brenden Nunes, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Brenden, look, we heard everyone say this. What's funny is the wing thing kept coming up. You get Jake LaRavia, there's a chance he stays. It really depends on the market and what the Kings are, how many years the Kings want to give him versus what other teams are willing to give him. But we heard about the wing situation so much, and then you get Jake LaRavia, so now nobody is talking about it. Obviously, Scott Perry brought up length and athleticism. And now all we keep hearing about, now we need a point guard, right? We need a point guard, we need a point guard, we need a point guard. Let's assume that they lose Jake LaRavia just for this exercise. If they lose Jake LaRavia, are we getting to the point now where the point guard thing is getting a little bit overblown? Can you just go out and get a Dennis Schroeder, or would you rather get a Dennis Schroeder and focus on the wing and athleticism, or take a big swing on a Trae Young? And then that wing situation, you could find somebody, but then that wing situation might not be as sturdy as you would like. Where do you think they should start in this, since now everybody wants to talk about how there's a lack of a point guard?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that both kind of need to be true, you know, and I think there's a decent chance that Jake sticks around. I think that how the city embraced him meant a lot to him, especially after coming from Memphis, where that was a weird scenario from everything that he expressed for himself, and how they may have not quite done the same. It's different when you got lottery expectations, right? Like, it's funny to see Washington be like, hey, look at the numbers that Marvin Bagley's putting up.
Exactly.
And yeah, when he's the second pick on the Kings still in Sacramento and you took him over Luka Doncic, you look at it in a whole different way. But when he gets traded here and you're just viewing him as how he is, essentially, then it's a whole different conversation. So I think that Jake is still definitely part of this, and the wing forward depth needs to be addressed, but 1A needs to be the point guard scenario. You know, I can't help but keep flashing back to Phoenix, where, you know, you can go down the list of the talent that they had, but they clearly needed a point guard. And honestly, they got what I thought were the two best backup point guards in the league with Monte Morris and Tyus Jones.
Yeah.
And guess what? That didn't cut it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it needs to be one tier above that. And now Trae Young, John Morant certainly are a tier above that, but they're maybe one or two even higher elevated in that aspect. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be that, even though I do think that they will and should entertain those conversations when it comes to those guys in any trade scenarios. But you need somebody that's going to be a facilitator. If you're going to continue this free-flowing offense, when you're coming down the floor as the initiator, which is the point guard,
right,
then you need to decide, all right, am I going to go to the right side of the floor where Zach LaVine is, or am I going to go on the left side of the floor? I'm just hypothetical, right? Players in this scenario. Yeah. Or am I going to go on the left side of the floor where DeMar DeRozan is? And it needs to be a distributor that has in their mind of, hey, I've gone to the right side where Zach is probably 3-4 times in a row. Maybe I should get DeMar a touch in this scenario. And so I think it needs to be a fine balance where, while I do think that guys, like I just said, Trae Jones could fit and play that role, you need somebody a little bit better than that in my mind. And so, long way of saying, I think that both need to be addressed.
You're taking the point guard over the wing.
Point guard needs to be 1A.
Wow.
I mean, you heard everybody say it. You heard Scott Perry said everybody in this room knows that we need a point guard.
Yeah.
You know, Domantas Sabonis is like, hey, we need a point guard on this team.
And does that come back to, and it would, look, myself included, and I know he was also injured, but does that come back to maybe an overestimation on what Malik Monk was going to be able to do, right? Because if they believe that point guard was that important, do they do away with De'Aaron the way they did away with De'Aaron? It feels like the big miss, and he's my favorite player on the Kings. I preface it every time I talk about Malik. It feels like there was an overestimation on what Malik was going to be able to do, and they made their bed and they thought, oh, this is not close to what we thought it would be. And then he got injured on top of it. Then he was sick, and then he got injured on top of it.
I think you're accurate with all of that. I think that there was definitely an overestimation of all that. And unfortunately, with the De'Aaron situation, I think, you know, as I've gotten more experienced with kind of talking to people in the background of all of this, like there's more politics in sports than maybe I think people realize day to day. And I think some of that played into the De'Aaron conversation with all of this. And it doesn't mean that they were like, hey, we don't feel like we need a point guard. Like, let's just put a scoring guy out there that can also pass, meaning the league, right? But both can be true, I guess. That, yes, they, you know, they moved on from De'Aaron because of a handful of different reasons, and also because they thought that that Malik could run that point. And come to find out, like, I personally think that Malik is a great Lou Williams. Mm-hmm. I think that this guy could be in the same category as Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford, right, multiple times, 6th man of the year. Like, while you come here to Sacramento, right, and we are all like, wow, this guy's a way better passer than I realized. That doesn't mean that you are a point guard. Mm-hmm. It means that, like, in my mind, I think Malik is best utilized running the second unit. Yeah. And I think that he is enabled to also be a free scorer within himself, and then also set up other people in the process when he feels like that is the most optimal route on any given possession. And so, no, I think that very much needs to be addressed. And I definitely agree with your point. I think it was overlooked or maybe overvalued how much Malik could be the point guard on this team. I think there was definitely an idea when they traded De'Aaron that Malik can run this team.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw it play out. That's not quite the case. Again, you need a facilitator. You need a guy that is going to just manage all of this out there.
Brandon, before we get you out of here, I know we got to go quick. So I think we've already kind of answered this, and I'm going to recycle something you said. But when anybody says the word need, I want to try to get to it. 530 says, I need this answered. If Mike Brown was so defensive oriented, why did he never play his best shooting / defensive specialist, Keon? And I'm going to kind of take the words from out of your mouth, Brenden, what you just said. Maybe the politics in sports were showing up more than what we'll ever know.
Yeah, hard to gauge with all that stuff. Yeah, you're funny for asking me this.
I'm saying we can go with sports politics.
Yeah, I think that that's the way to go, is that there is a lot of politics in all of this. And unfortunately, I would say specifically, honestly, in this organization, it's very difficult to figure out whose decision was what.
Right.
And that's part of the reason that I struggle with the Doug Christie decision. I'm like, did you let your GM decide your head coach? Or is this Monty McNair taking over Luke Walton? And then he moves on and is like, actually, my guy's Mike Brown.
Right.
You know? And so, yeah, as a way for me to dodge this question and people can try to read between the lines.
We got smart listeners.
Be intelligent, read between the lines with what I'm saying. But yes, I think there were definitely politics in play. And what I will say, by the way, is that I think people forget they love Keon because Mike Brown gave him an opportunity. Like, Keon wasn't a thing before, obviously undrafted free agent, but he was not a talking point until Mike Brown gave him an opportunity in Houston when the whole team was really not doing well in Houston. They had this back-to-back, people may remember, and he throws Keon out there and he presses everybody, and all of a sudden the entire organization loves him and goes to, oh my gosh, Mike, why aren't you playing him? When Mike was the same person that initially gave Keon the opportunity.
There you have it. All right, Brenden, I know you filled in for me so many times. You know we're way over time, but thank you. I had to get that question in, Brenden. You know how it is. Thank you. As always, Brenden Nunes, Sacktown Sports Insider. Be sure to follow him on social media. We will talk to you soon, Brenden. On the other side, we keep the conversation going. Who should the Kings go after? And what do you think is more important, point guard or an elite wing? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
At Valley Strong Credit Union, we know that local businesses are the backbone of the Central Valley, investing in our neighborhoods, boosting the economy, making the Valley stronger. But when it comes to their finances, where can they turn? A big bank that just sees another number? That's not good enough. Valley businesses deserve Valley support for payroll, credit, cash flow, and everything in between. Valley Business is Valley Strong. Learn how our cash management services can support your business at valleystrong.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Great stuff from Brenden. Just outstanding on a Big Fish Thursday. We've talked Giannis. We've talked Doug Christie. Sounds like there were a lot of names that maybe were interested in this Kings job. We'll never know. We truly will never know. Maybe we'll hear about something. But we move forward with Doug. In Doug, we trust. In Scott Perry, we trust. Just let people do their jobs. It's that simple. Let people do their jobs. You let people do their jobs, then you evaluate whether or not they did a good job or not. But if you don't let people do their jobs, or if you assume that everybody's going to be perfect at their job, you're in for a rude awakening. What you should pay attention to is how people react when they do make a mistake at their job while doing their job, because that's part of the growth process as well. But you can't continue to step in and not let people do their jobs. Look, I know the Jay Triano thing. There's so much to unpack here. I'm gonna package all of this, and after we hear from Doug Christie tomorrow, what Brenden had to say, what Chris had to say, what Jake Gadon had to say, a lot of things. I mean, Brenden bringing up the Montes Sabonis thing that Sam Amick got into. We have a lot of the Sam Amick sound. That's probably going to be tomorrow. So much to kind of break down. But as far as Jay Triano is concerned, Kyle, the one name that I mentioned towards the end, and we're about to talk about point guard versus an elite, and I should say a really good point guard versus a really good to elite wing. What should be more important for the Kings? An American-Italian professional basketball coach and former player.
I thought you were going to say Dante DiVincenzo.
Who is a coaching advisor for the New Orleans Pelicans of the NBA. He's 73 years old. You want to run? You want a gun? Mike D'Antoni, come on down.
Wait, he's with New Orleans?
According to this.
What? Okay.
Mike, if you had him on offense and you had a stud defensive coordinator, Mike D'Antoni as a head coach, we know doesn't care about defense. But if his only job is to care about offense, are you completely out on that?
I'm not gonna lie. The last time I heard of D'Antoni was when he joined Brooklyn like immediately after they traded for James Harden, and then they lost when Kevin Durant's foot was on the line.
Yeah,
and then I just never heard from him again.
Yeah, apparently he's in New Orleans advising.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of thought D'Antoni had gone off into a quiet retirement. He has a connection to the organization, too.
Of course he does.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Kansas City Kings back in 1973 and played for 2 seasons.
There you go. Oh, yeah. You know what I've been meaning to say? And we talked Sac State earlier, and we got into a little bit of college talk. Michigan, and Michigan's not the only school that does this, but Michigan has had this obsession where they really only hire guys that are connected to Michigan. The Michigan man, that's what they talk about.
Yes.
Whether Harbaugh, Juwan Howard, and I think they got to a point where I feel like they did eventually win the whole thing with Harbaugh, but people were saying, man, you guys are really just sticking to this and it's not working out for you. Well, they did eventually win with Harbaugh, so the Kings are some version of Michigan in the NBA. I know it doesn't normally work that way, but maybe eventually you'll find the guy that's also connected to the Kings, but also is really good at their job.
Hey, it worked out for Cleveland, right? Their strategy was just suck until the greatest basketball player in history was born in our city. So for the Sacramento Kings, just suck until one of the 10 greatest basketball players in the history of the world ends up being born in Natomas.
You never know. You never know what's going on. But I will say this, doesn't have to be in Sacramento. It could be in LA, because if DeMar DeRozan is home, you can live anywhere in California and be born. And we can say, hey, he's from Sacramento, right?
Yeah, no.
Thanks for coming home, buddy.
Doug is a weird thing, because it's like you can adopt Sacramento as your home and you can want to be in Sacramento, but I think, and this is not a hot, spicy take, but I think sustained excellence and building a strong organizational culture will then lead to more people wanting to stick around in Sacramento, instead of Jay Triano, the former coach of a bad Toronto Raptors team, wanting to stay in Sacramento at the end of his career. Maybe stronger, greater basketball minds. And no disrespect to Jay Triano, it's just no one was itching to jump onto the Sacramento Kings situation. They took a chance on a Jordy Fernandez, and look at how that worked out. He was a third assistant and Jokic's personal coach in Denver.
Yeah, and the they in that they is not here anymore. So that's part of it too. It's not Wing Wednesday. It's not wings versus flats or drums versus flats. We're talking wings versus guards. Who's more important for the Kings to attain? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Stay up to date on Sacramento sports. Join the Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter. Visit sacktownsports.com.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports injury update,
Brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Jose Leclerc, right-handed pitcher out with that right lat strain, is currently shut down from throwing. Will receive a second opinion with the doctor this week. Zach Geloff, out with that fractured right hand, is set to begin a rehab assignment with AAA Las Vegas this week as well. Goal is to get around 35 at-bats, and that will put him in line for a return in early May. This injury report was brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222. And visit them at calldowntown.com.
The PGA Club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, is coming back May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, Cole Wetzel, Nate Smith, and more. You'll enjoy food trucks, rock walls, and a mechanical bull, line dancing, and more. Single-day GA tickets start at $52 at CITPFest.com. Country in the Park, May 16th and 17th with Sky River Casino, Hop Valley Brewing, and Naturewood Home Furnishings. Find out more at CITPFest.com.
Sacramento Rivercats baseball is here, and the Cats Pass is your all-access pass to the full 2025 season. Enjoy access to every single home game at Sutter Health Park at unbeatable value. Cats Pass holders receive access to the Sky River Casino Solon Club on select dates, along with upgrades and guest options. Join us for unbeatable value with the Sacramento Rivercats all season long. Get your Cats Pass today at rivercats.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship returns to Monterey's iconic WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, May 9th through the 11th. Enjoy the high-octane mix of international drivers, cutting-edge prototypes, and GT sports cars racing wheel to wheel. Buy your tickets now at WeatherTechRaceway.com.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like two sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
I don't think this is breaking news for us, but it is kind of a big deal in the NBA world as the Pacers go on to the second round again. John Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton's father, will not be able to attend the team's home and road games for the foreseeable future, a Pacers spokesperson told ESPN. And Shams, initial reaction, overreaction from the NBA or a proper reaction from the NBA. Now that it's it was bad. But then when I see them say that, I saw somebody respond and say you couldn't have just let him kick it in the suites. And you have to set a standard. I get that. Foreseeable future, they purposely said that it's open-ended. He's not banned, right? To me, that probably sounds like the rest of the year. That's what it sounds like. And it probably won't happen, but they could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They could go to the finals, and his pops can't be there. Or I guess foreseeable future, they could pull it if they wanted.
Foreseeable future is until people stop talking about this.
Right. And let's say the Pacers get to the finals, would the organization lift it? This isn't from the NBA. This is a Pacers mandate. Would they lift it? I don't know. But my initial feeling is it's just a tough situation. He shouldn't have put himself in that situation. And if they make it to the finals, I hope that he gets to watch his son play. Anything outside of that, we'll probably see him next season sometimes. Because the other thing is too, this is not a one-off, and that's how it works in life. A lot of people, you'll get warnings, right, or you won't, and it's just kind of, hey, he's kind of over the line, but it is what it is. And then you cross that line, and now, if it was your first time, or if we hadn't heard anything from you, that'd be different. But because you've been floating and flirting with it for a while here, we gotta come down hard on you. If they get to the finals, I hope he gets to watch his son play live.
So we talked about, and again, I want to reiterate, this is all, this is a consequence of his actions.
Yes.
This is not like they're doing him dirty kind of situation. Like, this is a consequence of his own actions. He chose to do what he did. We thought that they were going to capitulate to Tyrese, and maybe I'll ask this as a question. If Tyrese had pounded his fists on the table and said, I want my dad to be there, do you think they would have done this either way? Because I just think it's one of those where they were like, hey, we kind of have to do this. There's too much smoke around it. He's going to be a distraction. And Tyrese didn't really fight it, would be my guess.
I don't think he fought it. I think that he knew it was a bad look. I think that he understands how big of a brand he has. I think he understands how big of a brand he wants. And like he said, we're all grown men. That's what Tyrese said. We're all grown men. So he's got to answer for what he did. And I'm not going to, if you flip the script, I would assume that he was probably raised that you have to pay for your actions. So I think Tyrese, if he did bang the table, maybe they just put a timeline on it and say the next round. I think they had to do something either way. If he banged the table, they would have said next round. Because, like I said, if they do get to the finals, they can do anything that they want. People will make fun of the quote-unquote foreseeable future, but it is what it is. I mean, you're in the finals, and your dad has been, very a huge part of your life in order for you to get to this point. So I think that I'm assuming how Tyrese was raised was, you did the crime, you got to do the time, and I'm not going to sit here and bail my dad out. But if we get to the finals, let's have that conversation.
I think the compromise is also going to be what other family members do, which is like stand in the tunnel or watch from the locker room kind of situation.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be able to get away with giving him courtside seats.
No. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying courtside for the finals, but if the Pacers get to the finals, he should be able to be in a suite. That's how I feel.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up going. I said the same thing yesterday. I still believe it's like, if this were any other person, they would be banned from NBA arenas.
Yes.
Because it's the father of the man that is responsible for everything that's happening there. Like, Tyrese Halliburton is the Indiana Pacers economy. So I understand making capitulations when his son is the reason why all of this is happening. But because of public image, they had to do this until, my guess is, people just stopped talking about it.
And, there are a lot of parents that listen to this show and parental figures as well. And the reality is we did this thing even when I was younger, and my parents would kind of go back and forth with it. Is this idea that everybody needs to be treated the same and everyone should get the same treatment. That's just not how the world works, right? So I don't expect Tyrese Halliburton's father to get banned from watching his son, who's bringing in billions of dollars to the Pacers, to get banned. And nobody should expect that. And Ryan Clark saying that a couple days ago, it's absurd and it's just stupid because it was never going to happen. That's not how business works. That's not how the world works. It's just not.
Yeah, the Pacers are doing public relations here. Like, I would imagine they're not going to release a statement when he's allowed back in. It's going to happen quietly. They're going to try and make sure nobody notices it. He'll probably have to hang out in the lounge or hang out in the family section of the arena, and that'll be a capitulation that they make.
Yeah, and don't let it happen again, and we won't talk about it. They're also like I said, I think they're kind of banking on, hey, we're probably not going to the finals. Because if they go to the finals, this whole thing changes.
Oh, if they beat the Cavs, this whole thing changes.
Yeah.
Because that would be a huge upset, and B, could you imagine if Boston comes to town and all of a sudden, or again, Boston would be funny too, but the funnier situation is the Knicks beat the Celtics, and then at Madison Square Garden, you have him roll out with like sunglasses and the shades on, and it's like, you got Spike Lee and we've got Tyrese's daddy waving a towel.
I think they would still be stuck for the conference finals. I think they'd have to stay strong. I think the finals is where this is once in a lifetime. Let's see what we can do. But I do think even with Eastern Conference Finals, they'll probably have to stay strong. I wanted to, before we are joined by Whitey Gleason, I wanted to spend some time on what Brenden had to say as far as the point guards, and we'll do more of this tomorrow as well. Point guard versus the wing, and what I think is more important. Obviously, a lot of this is predicated upon whether or not Jake LaRavia will continue to be a Sacramento King. Look, you got Jake LaRavia, if he comes back, and you probably still need more of a power wing, right? Jake LaRavia is still more of that small forward. But with that being said, then you have the John Collins of the world, guys like that. Is it more important to get a point guard than a wing? This is just a real hard conversation for me to have just because they are just on the heels of moving De'Aaron Fox. It just sounds utterly ridiculous to me. Even if point guard is the correct answer, this whole thing just sounds utterly ridiculous to me. The 916 says, you had Fox, and I mean, the team didn't go anywhere. Celtics don't really have an elite point guard. Let's move forward just like you're going to be back where you were. Let's get some athletic wings. It's a good point from the 916. Jason Tatum, that point forward, he's also a top 10 player in the league. Jaylen Brown really doesn't do a lot of point guard work. And, yeah, I would agree, Derek White, probably a bit underrated playmaking, but he's not a point guard. It's a great point, 916. Again, I guess to the 916's point, we kind of disrespecting Drew Holiday and his playmaking there. I don't think so. I think it's a lot of Jason Tatum.
No, Drew Holiday kind of plays an off-ball too. I mean, he can do ball handling stuff, but at this stage of his career, you're trading for Drew Holiday for defense and playmaking occasionally. And maybe that's what the Kings need. I mean, probably not at $30 million, but like Domantas Sabonis is still a point center, and a lot of the times it didn't matter who brought the ball up because it's get the ball to Sabonis at the top of the key, and then Sabonis is going to work the offense how he sees fit.
I think that's a good point. When it comes to, we put a lot of this on Malik, right? And we overvalued the collective. We overvalued Malik and what he was going to be able to do as a point guard. But some of this was, well, we also have Sabonis. And I don't know where the miss was in adding Malik Monk to the starting lineup and having Domantas Sabonis. I don't know if it's Zach LaVine. I don't know what it is, but it went from, well, he's a point center to, oh, I need a point guard. So I do think, though, again, going back to what is it that you need Domantas Sabonis to be the best version of yourself? He needs a point guard. He needs a point guard that can be a point guard when he needs him to be a point guard, but also he can be a point center. It's tough, man.
I think it was a combination of both. It was Malik did not have the skill set to be a true point guard without taking away from what Malik Monk did well. Also, he turned the ball over a lot, but
yes. And so does Domantas Sabonis.
Sure, but it took away from what Malik did well, and it made him a net negative, and his shooting took a dip. That can be true, and Domantas Sabonis also got hurt in the middle of March, so then they were kind of like, I don't know, I guess DeRozan is the point guard now, so I think it's probably a combination of both, that Malik shouldn't be the long-term point guard, but you also don't need a point guard who's going to play 40 minutes like a traditional point guard facilitating offense, because a lot of the times that's going to be through Sabonis.
Whitey Gleason joins us to close out the show. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get in on the action at Sky River Casino. With over 80 table games, the hottest slot machines, and a thrilling high-limit room, you'll enjoy a casino experience on a whole new level. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
With so many ways to warm up before golf, a group of university researchers tried to cut through the clutter. 24 low handicap players were split in two groups. The first group was instructed to hit 9 shots in a row with 4 different clubs at set targets. The second group also hit 36 shots, but in a random order. Maybe one shot with a driver, one with a 7-iron, another with a wedge, and so on. Then all the golfers from both groups hit 9 test shots that simulated the kind of shots they'd hit on the course. Results found that the group who practiced with randomized shots performed better than the first group. Well, that's one study, but it's probably important to note that rather than hit a bunch of shots with 3 clubs, you might be better off hitting different clubs to different distances. You'll have practice shots to different targets with different clubs, presumably just like you'll do on the golf course. Give it a try. What do you have to lose except a few shots on your scorecard? That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
A lot of people like to complain about the NBA and this weird comparison to the NFL, which I don't get because the setups are completely different, but they do it anyway. And NFL's great. No one's ever going to deny that. NFL has a level of urgency that no other sport has besides college football. With that being said, a lot of NBA haters, besides the flopping aspect with Brunson and others, they've been quiet because this has been one of the best first rounds in a really long time.
Yeah, it has. And it's interesting because the series haven't been long, but the games have been great.
Right. Which is, where are you at with that 7-game series? Because people say that about the 2016 finals, how everybody says it was a great series because there was a 3-1 comeback, but the only good game was game 7, right? Every game was a blowout. Besides game 7. So a 7-game series with all blowouts, or it could be a sweep, but a 5-game series, every game is close. I know the Lakers a couple of years ago, Nuggets, every single game was close, but they got swept.
So weep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The closer games are more fun. And I got to be honest, it's just something fun about seeing the Lakers dismissed.
Man.
So quickly.
Anthony
Edwards.
Edwards.
Many people that just, I don't know, they're delusional or what, that thought, they were going to easily win this series, and they're shocked that they lost.
Well, not all of us.
I know, but I mean, I'm just stunned that there's so many people. And of course, for ESPN, that's the whole thing. How did the Lakers lose?
Right.
Maybe they're not as good. That's where I would start.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to the Lakers, that was one of the more obvious. If you watched, and I didn't watch a ton of the Lakers, but they are on a lot. That was one of the more obvious separators of playoff basketball is different than regular season. They got in. They're the Harlem Globetrotters. Luke is throwing full court passes to LeBron. How are they going to lose? How are they going to lose a game? And then you get to the playoffs, and it's, we don't have a center, and JJ is a young coach, and he throws temper tantrums, and what are we going to do?
I was surprised last night that he waited so long to try to do anything about Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert's a fine player. I know he's not popular. He's not my favorite player, but, he's an accomplished NBA player, and it was just like, I was watching the games like, he's not really having a great game other than he's just taller than everybody.
Right.
And everything's just, he just had to catch it,
Yeah.
play it in. It's like,
Right.
you might want to do something about that. And they did it until they put in Maxi Kleber.
Right.
Like, okay.
But Jackson Hayes was starting when they were rocking and rolling. Jackson Hayes was putting up points. So I don't know what JJ didn't like about. I mean, he's not great, Jackson Hayes, but early on, he's still young. He's still young-ish, right?
Alan, where was Alex Len?
Probably where he should have been.
What do you mean? Alex Len was going to transform the team when they signed him.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I will not. I should have taken all those screenshots. Probably can't find them now. Probably deleted. But
all the Laker
we
fans.
got our guy.
Yeah,
we got our guy.
I think maybe Coach Reddick was just stubborn and thought, we're going small. It's going to work. Even as, the whole season was just evaporating before his very eyes, just stubborn about it. It was incredible. What do I know? And I'm sitting there watching, you got to do something about that guy who's getting every rebound and every putback.
Yeah, and obviously everybody does preface that and hey, they'll know more basketball they'll forget more basketball than I'll ever know. And that is true. But sometimes there are situations where your eyes aren't deceiving you. This guy's just making a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times I don't, especially us. And we know, like I said, I got my dad who will always say, I could have been Steve Kerr with that lineup. And everybody's got an uncle or a friend who does that. that's kind of crazy. But there are times where it's, no, you're not tripping. That coach does not know what they're doing right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And that's at least the second time he's done it in the series.
Yeah. And then did you hear my rant when I got on JJ for storming off with that reporter?
I did not hear your rant. I apologize.
I thought it was so ridiculous. It was just such a bad look for JJ.
It is.
Come on, man.
It was a really iffy question, but
you think so?
Yeah, that was a very insulting question.
You think so?
Yeah.
Kyle, you still have that? You got the question.
He basically said, you need help. Are you going to get help?
But didn't we already? But okay. Hold on.
He could have handled it better, but that was a very insulting question.
You know what? I just was having this conversation with one of my friends. When you are open about something, right? When maybe you even joke about it yourself, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. JJ Redick, clearly he was hired without a lot of no experience. They got about 3 former head coaches on the staff. He's talked about it before. So you open that door. Once you open that door, like Kevin Hart can't get mad at a short joke, right? Because he opened that door years ago. He's made a lot of money from that door. JJ Redick's been open, inexperienced, and they brought in coaches because of it. But now he can't be
but
upset
we're talking
about it
two
now.
different things. I agree. He should have handled it better.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But that was a very pointed, insulting question. It was a very disrespectful question. You going to let your assistant coaches help you figure out who's going to be in the game?
Kyle, you have it.
What do you recall about your thought process in the moment? Sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day. And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get, some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm listening to it with you, but I thought it was
in the fourth quarter the other day. And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on
Assistant
tonight,
or someone.
maybe to
anyone
try to get, some other guys involved?
Get some other guys involved. Fair question. I'm not saying it's not fair. But
Okay.
That's a very, if I was in there, I'd be like, whoa.
Is there somebody?
Do I
every single time?
Situations.
As do I
There's a lot going
every
on.
single time.
Wait, play the thud.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Obviously,
play the
where his
thud.
face when he realizes what the guy
That's a
actually
weird
said.
assumption.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's honestly a pretty soft thud.
Well, he already did enough.
It's a weird assumption.
And there's probably somebody out there, Whitey, that said that's what SAC media needs to be doing. They're not hard enough on the coaches. That's what we always hear.
Assumption.
You think Doug will take questions tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And then somebody's going to say, softball questions. What is
Every
it?
single time.
You know what he did there, too? The guy that asked the question. He did the same thing I did when I asked Scott Perry at their thing about, do you have autonomy? And I couched it. I asked something else first. Then I came in with, and will you have autonomy to make those decisions? And that's what that guy tried to do. It was a mistake when I did it. I should have just been direct because I gave him room to kind of scoot out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy was like, do you remember what you were thinking when you made those decisions? But the real question is, do you have a coach or anybody that can help you make that decision?
Hey, dummy, you got anyone who can tell you to substitute?
Hello, Scott. I'm right here. My name's Kevin Gleason. I'm on the
This is a long
Sacktown Sports
question.
Afternoon Show with this gentleman over here to my left, Kyle Draper.
You don't need to play the whole thing.
I just wanted to play
Thank you.
Will you be there tomorrow?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Will you?
No. But we will be playing it live here on the home of your Sacramento Kings.
I was going to say, are we allowed to? You can ask whatever you want. The Doug stuff, that's one thing. But I want to ask more questions of Scott Perry about the roster and things like
Right.
that.
And I'm assuming they'll be sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
You know. They'll let you know. They'll let you know. They'll let you know. That's all I'm going to say.
Scott, is there anybody on ownership or anybody that would help you make decisions on who's going to be on the team?
Every single time. Every single time. What is it? Diversity of thought?
Uh-huh.
Unity of purpose?
Unity of purpose.
There you go.
Every single time.
Yep.
Can you hear that? I'm putting the mic down. Whitey Gleason coming up next. Drive Guys, Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Thanks to Brenden Nunes.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jake Gadon.
Yeah.
Thanks to Chris Watkins.
Yeah.
Thanks to Kyle Ledbetter, as always. Until tomorrow, secure the bag. Like the beat. JJ, who the hell are you? You haven't done anything to treat this reporter this way. You made some dumb moves. Just wear it. Stop being a front runner, or maybe don't stop being it. That's why you're perfect for the Lakers, because that's what you all do. Grow up.
Don't forget my podcast. Gotta go.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Worried about your battery and the heat? We get it. You don't want to get stranded somewhere with a car that feels like an oven. We've got you covered at AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Our free battery testing and charging service can help. And if you need a battery, we'll help you find a new one, no problem. Power through with free battery testing and charging at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.